Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames, and today we are playing some Pauper, of course. And we're going to start by finishing the league that we ended yesterday, because I'm streaming 2 days in a row for the first time. We're going to finish out the league with Esper CryoBlade. We have 2 matches left, and then we're going to try to brew some sort of deck with Spider-Man slash Through the Omen Paths cards, which are new. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So in case you didn't see the deck before, it's basically the same Esper CryoBlade deck that I've been playing for a little while, but we're trying out a few different cards. So yesterday I tried out Moon Circuit Hacker, decided I didn't really like that, so we took it out, but we also tried out Jolted Awake. I have been enjoying it, so we're going to continue trying that out. We also tried out Metallic Rebuke, ended up taking that out as well, but we're trying a one of Ghostly Flicker in here. And other than that, pretty standard stuff. We have a Suffocating Fumes, Raven's Crime, which I enjoy. A couple Navigator's Compasses, Tithing Blade, Cast Down. Of course, our Hawks, Skyfishers, Refurbs, Thoughtcast, Mere Enforcer, Cryogen Relic, Blood Fountain. And then our mana base and our sideboard. So, like I said, we got 2 matches left to play with this. We're just going to finish those out, and then we'll see what we're going to do from there. Ooh. All right, match 1 of the day, but this is going to, I guess, since we stopped playing before the tracker, the record tracker has reset. So currently we're 2-1 in the league, but it shows 0-0. This hand needs some blue, which is an issue that we had a lot yesterday. Ideally, that won't happen too much, but it's got double refurb and Glint Hawk, so it seems pretty decent to me, even without that. And looks like we could be against the Mirror, potentially. We're going to play refurb. It could also just be Orzhov, Glintblade. It could be, I mean, those are the main decks that play these Goldmire Bridge, I think. They refurb us. Tough call, because these we can't play right now, but they're just really good later. I think we'll get rid of this Cast Down and just hope we get some blue. Perfect. So I probably want to just play Relic and Glinthawk this turn. We'll attack. Fine to see a trade. So yeah, I'm expecting... they had a one of Swamp, which we have played before in here. Now we just play Bajuka Bog. So that makes me think they might be Orzhov as opposed to the Esper, but you never know. It could be either one. Ideally, if they're not on Esper, we will show why I like this version better, which is just more card advantage. But we'll see. See what they got going on. Thraben Charm the Glinthawk. Okay. And then Basilica. That's definitely a good indication they're probably just Orzhov. So we could swing for 2. Probably just Relic and Refurb here. I guess that means I could play a Compass, but I think I'd rather just get my tap land down. Discard an Ancient Den. They also picked up... What did they pick up? Vault of Whispers. Okay, there it is. Lembas. This is the big difference between our 2 decks. Our mana is obviously a little worse because we have 3 colors, but we get 2 draws every time we bounce a Relic, as opposed to their Scry and draw from Lembas. They're going to attack. I'm fine with this trade, but I kind of think that we have more damage on them at the moment, especially because if they play like a Skyfisher here, I can just cast it down. Yeah. Have this mostly built in paper and looking forward to playing it. How do you find the matchup against Jund? I think our matchup against Jund is very favored, personally. We do things like Tithing Blade and Grim Bauble. A lot of those good removal spells get a little worse because Grim Bauble can take out a refurb, but it's not amazing. Tithing Blade, of course, Chrysalis just eats it with a spawn. So I don't love that aspect of it, but we are both very grindy decks. I honestly think we're able to get more card advantage most times than they are. The reason for that... Ooh, we're getting a little flooded. The reason for that is because we're able to deploy our creatures while drawing cards. So they play a Wellspring and then a Fanatical Offering. They're up 4 cards, or rather they've traded 2 cards for 4 cards, but they haven't actually affected the board in any way. Whereas if we play a Cryogen Relic and then a Glinthawk, we're up a couple cards, but we've also got a 2/2. And just in general, I think we have more threats than them. We play 16 threats. They play 12-ish with Refurbs, Chrysalis. If they're playing Gixian Infiltrator, those. If they're not, 1 or 2 Hydras, some Kark Clan Shamans. Oh, they have an Okiba Gang Shinobi, it looks like. Luckily, we don't really care about discarding these, but still not the best. And then they get to refurb, take our last card. Oh, they Blood Fountain. Oh, they only had 2 artifacts. Interesting. Okay, well, that's good for us. Mere Enforcer. So in general, I like our match against Jund. And then also we, of course, get Dust to Dust in the post-sideboard games, which can just potentially just kill them if they keep all bridges and don't get any more lands, or it could just take out refurbs, blood fountains, Ichor Wellsprings, things like that. So I can just play this Enforcer, which we're certainly going to do. Question is, do I want to tap down this Shinobi with the Relic? I don't really care if it hits us again because I can just play both of these out. Plus we'll have a blocker, but it could draw something relevant to play, not to mention it just makes it so it's not a blocker next turn. I kind of think Refurb's already a decent pickup, so if we do find like a Glint Hawk, I think it's okay. If we find a land, which we do, then at the very least we get to discard a land to their Refurb and not have to lose, not have to give them a card. But with all these lands, before we got hit by the Shinobi, I would have loved the old Raven's Crime to hit our opponents with. But yeah, one more thing on Jund. I've been keeping track of my stats with the deck. I believe I've played against Jund 6 or 7 times, and I don't believe I've lost a single match to them. So a lot of those were earlier on with this deck when it was probably lesser known. So it's possible they've changed their sideboard a little bit or something, but in general, it seems pretty favored to me. They Thraben Charm down our Enforcer and bauble a Refurb. Okay, we need a good draw. For sure. Obviously, like a Relic into a Glint Hawk would be one of our best. Skyfisher's not bad. Probably just play that, make them discard their card. I could attack, but then if they trade, I don't really like that because then I don't have anything very powerful to pick up here. So I think we'll just play this. Yeah, the card advantage and versatility in the Esper list feels like it makes for a good secondary deck to play when I mostly play Black Sack. Yeah, they have very different play styles, but they both do, even though they're very different, they both have the same kind of thing that I like, which is being able to maximize your value. Like, I like the decks, my favorite decks in general are mid-range grindy decks like Esper. I like Black Sack so much because even though it's an aggro deck, you run out of cards at some point. There's just so much value you can eke out of every card by playing 100% perfectly that it's just really fun, very high skill ceiling, very enjoyable, and just, of course, I like decks that are lesser well known. They attack with both here because they have a Skyfisher in the yard and they're happy to trade something off and get the Blood Fountain to go off. So I could just eat the Refurb here, but then they get to buy it back, replay it. I mean, I don't care about this hitting me because I don't have any cards in hand. I could just take this. We're at 11. We hit them to 4. They might have another creature, but I think they just really want something to go to the graveyard for the Blood Fountains. I think we just pass on the trade. I don't know. If they play like a Skyfisher or something, then we can't really get in. Yep, there it is. And they get to probably just, I guess they could bobble our Refurb or they could pick up their Refurb. They do that. Yep, bobble the Refurb. Well, I don't think either of those was a very good option for us. I guess maybe if we had blocked here, they would have just bobbled the Skyfisher. So that would have been okay for us. Refurb is pretty good. It's a redraw plus a blocker. Thoughtcast is great. Bojuka Bog is pretty decent when they have the Blood Fountain, although, again, they only have one card there. I guess we will just draw another card with the Refurb. This was a great chain of events. I mean, I would love a Thoughtcast or something I can play. So I don't have to Bojuka Bog here, but then they're probably going to attack in, and then they could have the Blood Fountain up, so I think I might as well get rid of one Skyfisher. Less known, it definitely feels better. Everyone in the league I'm in who plays Jund Wildfire complains about how stale the play pattern gets. The play pattern of Jund Wildfire. Personally, I like Jund Wildfire a lot, even if it is a more well-known deck. But, yeah, I mean, if you play the same deck exclusively, there's a reason that I play. I mean, I have 4 to 8 main decks, and then I have, of course, several other decks that I like to play. And that's largely because I do get bored if I just play the same one deck over and over and over again. All right, once again, they're attacking with these, it looks like, probably for the Blood Fountain, but we probably are going to... I don't want to lose this Refurb, because it's currently our only card to pick up for value if we find a Glint Hawk or Skyfisher. So I'll probably just eat the Refurb here, trade the Okiba, but then they buy them both back. I could just block here. They can only buy one back, but then I'm wasting just being able to eat this. I could just block this, but we do discard our card. I don't hate, it's not the end of the world if we discard this card, but if we get a Blood Fountain, it could be a new card. If we get a Raven's Crime, it could turn into a card for them. So I kind of think maybe just blocking here. Again, I'm just trying to prevent them from getting a lot of value off this Blood Fountain, but they have another Okiba Gang Shinobi. Well, I was not expecting a second one of those in the main deck, I will admit. If I had, I probably would have blocked both. In fact, I definitely would have blocked both. We do get a Glint Hawk, though, so keeping this around pays off. Although they have a card in hand, so we're just, we're making them discard. We're not actually drawing a card here. But it was a Fanatical, that's not bad. It's still very up in the air. We both have some decent value. They have a Blood Fountain and a Grim Bauble, but I think we have just generally better draws. Like any Cryogen or Thoughtcast kicks us off a little bit better than like a Fanatical for them or a Lembas. I guess technically a Lembas off the top for them is kind of more valuable because of the Scry. Cryogen off the top for us is just one draw, but if we find a Skyfisher or something, then it becomes pretty good. I don't have anything to discard, but I will trade here. If they want to buy back 2 Okiba Gangs with this Blood Fountain, that's fine. I can hopefully make it so they can't attack unblocked from now on. That's the goal anyway. Thorn of the Black Rose. Okay. Well, one removal spell would allow us to get in for the Monarch. Jolted Awake is a decent draw. We can get back a Cryogen, get back a Glinthawk, or Skyfisher. It's probably got to be Cryogen, right? It just draws us 1 new card, but it could be 2. If we get like a Skyfisher, it's another attacker, and we make them discard a card. I think we're going for the Cryogen Relic. Highest upside card. Compass is not great, though. I guess then I have to crack the Relic. They're just going to start drowning us in value with the Monarch. I mean, this is still a draw, too, so it's not, like, terrible, but I didn't really want to have to lose this right away. Well, Jolted Awake means we can do it again, or I could go for a Skyfisher, but I think we just want to draw. Let's do that. Another Jolted Awake. I guess we'll crack and we'll draw again. Now we get the Thoughtcast. I can just Thoughtcast here with the Navigator's Compass in case I want to pivot on what I Jolted Awake. I guess that's probably better. Make this an island. Draw 2. We get a bridge, which... do I want to play that? If they have a refurb, they can get the Okiba Gangs back, but they can't use them this turn. I think we'll play it out. More mana is good, especially with another Jolted Awake. We have a Tithing Blade, so next turn, assuming they don't change much here, we can like Tithing Blade, Jolted Awake a Glinthawk, Tithing Blade again, which could eat like Thorn, maybe Refurb. Of course, if they still have this and we don't have any other removal, we have to lose our Refurb to get the Monarch. Swing with the Thorn, that's fair. I'm not really gonna... well, maybe I should block here. We lose the Skyfisher, but then we can Tithing them twice. They just Grim Bauble the Refurb. Skyfisher would be better. No, would not need to crack the Cryo. Oh yeah, since we drew the Jolted Awake first. Yep, you're right. I was just kind of getting tunnel visioned on like crack the Relic, Jolted Awake, but you're right. We didn't need to crack it. We could have just Jolted Awake, brought it back to hand with and we would have a Skyfisher. That would have been far better. Good call. Because then we would have another Skyfisher on board and a Relic in hand with an extra... well, the same amount of cards, but we'd have a Relic in hand instead of this Jolted Awake, which I don't mind having the Jolted Awake still in hand so we can like pivot if we want. But yeah, extra Skyfisher on board would have been good. Cast Down's not bad. They could have a Cast Down or something to kill the Skyfisher, but we're hoping that's not the case. And I think now we just Tithing Blade, Jolted Awake, a Skyfisher, and then Tithing Blade again, and we can Cast Down. Yeah, I could get a Relic, but I'd rather just have a Skyfisher, I think, here. Hopefully they don't have a Thraben Charm. That'd be pretty annoying. Looks like they might. Fanatical, a Grim Bauble. Okay, so they're looking for it. They don't find it. So Skyfisher comes back. Tithing Blade. So I'm trying to Tithing Blade and Cast Down so that we can clear their attackers, so we can, and blockers, so we can take the Monarch, but then also so they can't get the Monarch back. But if they do have a cast down or something here, that could be unfortunate. But they don't, so we get the Monarch. That's great. I think we're going to keep the Compass in hand to discard to a Refurb. 3 life could be relevant here, but I think in case we drew something good there, I'd rather just have the Compass. Obviously, we didn't, so we'll discard the Seat if they do make us discard. But yeah, I will say not doing that play of Jolting Awake, the Skyfisher maybe was okay here. Ended up being okay because we got an extra removal spell out of the Jolted Awake, whereas we would have had just some more card draw. I do think it would have been better to do that, but it looks like it worked out okay, because otherwise we would have had 2 Skyfishers. They'd have a Skyfisher to block, so we can still take the Monarch, but then they have an attacker back. So results-oriented thinking to be like, oh, so I made the right play after the fact, but I think maybe it worked out. They do, in fact, have the Refurb. Are they cracking a Blood Fountain for the other Refurb now? Plus something else? Probably Skyfisher. Maybe Thorn, if they really just want to take the Monarch back. Yeah, they go Skyfisher, Refurb. They're going to take the Compass, which I think is probably fine that they... I'm trading 3 life for them having a card. Now we get our Raven's Crime. Really late. They have a Skyfisher in hand. I can make him discard 1. So I have a choice here, because I'm going to flip this Tithing Blade. So I can attack for 4. They're probably going to take it. And then I can flip Tithing Blade. I have them on a 2-turn clock if they can't gain life. But they get to hit us for 4, and we go to 3, which I don't think there's going to be any way they can deal us enough damage. Like, Okibas are all in the grave. So I think that's probably the play. But I could also just hold back and try to you know, keep the Monarch. But then if they just have like a removal spell for a Skyfisher, it's not great. Let's flip the Tithing Blade and might as well make him discard a card. I guess I could hold this for another refurb, which they might use since they have a Skyfisher. Would let them draw one fewer, which I guess is kind of just like letting them rummage here. They don't know it, but maybe it would have been better to just hold, since one random card from their hand isn't super relevant here. Potentially. I don't think they played a land, so it's probably all spells, but still. Discard a Blood Fountain, and we find the Glint Hawk. Right, we're going to have a card anyway, so they're not going to draw from their refurb. But I could have held that, and then I wouldn't have to discard my Glint Hawk, which Glint Hawk would definitely be better here, I think. Although getting rid of a Blood Fountain is pretty decent value. I don't know. Really depends on if they have any way to gain life, or I guess deal us 3 here. Because if they don't, we don't win this next turn because of the Sepulcher, but they have to leave back enough blockers to not die to Skyfishers, which I guess shouldn't be hard because they have Skyfisher to bounce a refurb, replay it, take our card. That's at least 2 blockers. Also, they can map onto a refurb first, which is potentially an extra damage. Yeah, we definitely could die here. They do swing. We're down to 3. Glint Hawk. Okay, so they could pick up a Bauble, hit a Skyfisher. They play their Skyfisher, Bauble again. Then we only have 1 blocker for 4 attackers. Although if they do that, they leave a card in our hand, which means our Glint Hawk is another attacker, plus lets us rebuy our Compass. Or I could even rebuy our Sepulcher, make him sack a creature, and then still flip it again. They pick up a refurb, though. Okay. Well, I guess, yeah, just the Skyfisher still presents lethal here, and this way we have no cards in. Plus they could, they bounce the Grim Bauble. Okay, so they already have another Bauble, I guess, to take out the Skyfisher. Yeah. All right, well, we need something good because we're going to 4, but we have nothing else. Mirror Enforcer doesn't do it. Doesn't block. We die to their guys in the air. I guess, yeah, I attack, doesn't do anything. I guess by holding it, I could bluff them, but there's no way they're not going to do something here. Pretty close game, seeing as they're at 1. They're going to Grim Bauble away 2 lands. Map onto the refurb, they get a cast down. I'm just waiting for them to kill us. Crack their blood, cast down, yeah, sure. Attack the team, and we'll die. Alright, so we get Dust to Dust, they're going to get Dust to Dust. We're also going to be more susceptible than they are, because we are 3 colors, full on affinity, whereas they have some basics and things. Duress is good. Raven Charm, Drown in Sorrow, and Last Rites can all be decent. Probably not Last Rites. They don't have quite enough cards to make that worthwhile, I don't think. Suffocating Fumes doesn't quite do enough. Ghostly Flicker could still be pretty interesting. Raven's Crime, if we saw it earlier, it could have been pretty good. Compass, in general, I kind of take out Compass against opponents where the life gain isn't super relevant. However, I also like to keep it in when my opponent is likely to bring in Dust to Dust, so that if we get caught with like 1 or 2 lands, it's harder for them to cut us off mana, specific types of mana. Grim Bauble's good. If we saw some Enforcers, I think that would have been good earlier than the last turn. I don't know if Cast Down is super relevant. I mean, it's fine for sure. I guess with Monarch, it's pretty important. Bauble. I kind of like Bauble because it can take out Glint Hawks and Refurbs and Okiba Gang Shinobi. Doesn't hit Skyfisher, but being able to win the presence on board by bobbling, Glint Hawk bobbling all of their guys, I think is pretty good. I guess Raven's Crime might not be necessary, especially if I'm bringing in Duress, which I like Duress because I can cut them off. Lembas and Tithing Blade and Bauble and things like that. Hello, by the way. How's it going? Maybe we don't need the Ghostly Flicker. If anything, I think Tithing Blade is less good than the Bauble, probably, but I still think Tithing Blade is good enough to keep. I guess maybe we'll cut a Jolted Awake and like a Thought Cast, just because I kind of want my removal. I do feel still kind of inclined to take out the Compass, but again, we're just really going to be happy to have it if we do get Dust to Dusted and are able to keep some of all colors of mana because of it. It sounds pretty reasonable. We have a bunch of ways to make them discard and us draw. Blood Fountain. Alright, well I think we'll just start with a refurb here. Magic Online not letting me pay for it makes me freak out and think, oh, do I have a basic or something? But I made sure I had 2 artifacts, I promise. Basilica, back their swamp, so they're tapped out. That's nice. Attack for 2. And I might as well just Glint Hawk refurb them again. I could Thoughtcast and then Glint Hawk, but that does not allow me to have as much damage as quickly. So I think this is probably just best. They could have brought in like Drown in Sorrow or something. I thought about doing the same. It's not bad in this matchup because it gets all Glint Hawks and Familiars. So if they had that right now, that would be kind of annoying. They do have the Dust to Dust. Well, we're going to hope that we can just get them here, I guess, with these guys. I could Glint Hawk the refurb, but then I can't play it again. So I think since we're just going for aggression, I'm going to refurb the Ancient Den. And then if the Glint Hawk dies, I can Jolt it Awake. Until we draw lands, our plan is just attack them with two flyers. So I'm going to hope there's no Skyfisher. Well, there's a Bauble. That's pretty annoying. If they hit the refurb, I can't Jolt it Awake, and they should because it's the one that I can pick up with Glint Hawks and things. There's the Skyfisher. Pick up the Bauble. Yep. I mean, this is just they got the Dust to Dust, and we are more susceptible to it than they are. Match. I could attack, but we only get in for 2, and Jolted Awake, bringing back a Glint Hawk doesn't give us any value, so now we're just hoping to draw lands, and hoping that they do not have more Dust to Dusts. Also, they get to bobble another Glint Hawk away. And Nimbus. Oh, I could have... Isn't this the one where I have a negates in the sideboard? Negates are partially for Dust to Dusts, so I probably should have just brought those back in. I would have had to hold up 2 mana basically every turn, though, so I'm not sure it would have been good enough. Well, I'm going to attack. I'll make this trade, which I guess they're probably happy with because they have a Blood Fountain, but they don't even do it. I will Glint Hawk the Ancient Den. I guess I'm hoping that they play a refurb and make us discard this Cryogen that I can Jolt it Awake. I could have then gotten another Glint Hawk, but then they just hold this back, the Skyfisher, and I can't attack in, and it doesn't really matter. They have a Limbus, but I also wanted 2 Glint Hawks so that, well, if one dies, I still have one, but also so that they couldn't just definitively be winning the race. Now that's not really going to be the case. There's the refurb. Hopefully it's our savior. We take 4. We get an Ancient Den. We're going to Jolt it Awake the Relic, and we get just an Ancient Den. Well, I think if we maybe have a shot, because they're almost out of cards, although they have a Blood Fountain, if we just try to survive here. But they have a Glint Hawk, so that's going to bobble away our Glint Hawk. This is why I think Bobble is really good in this match. Obviously, they're the ones using it to good effect and not us, but could have been us. There's the Compass. Pretty late, but I could play Refurb with it. I could Thoughtcast with it, which if we get lucky, we find an untapped land, which would be black for the refurb. Or I could just Skyfisher, which blocks best, and then picks up a relic, so hopefully we draw... Yeah, I think we Skyfisher. Hope we draw an untapped land. Vault of Whispers would be our best. We do draw the Vault of Whispers. Okay. Refurb them. You discard a Blood Fountain. They have a Dust to Dust again. Okay, amazing. I guess I'll block here. Well, if they didn't top deck a Dust to Dust, I think we would have been okay. But now we play this, and I can't... I guess I'm not dead, technically. We made them discard their last card. They top deck a Dust to Dust. We were actually coming back because of the Compass, and then the Vault of Whispers we needed right then. They get a Thraben Charm. Alright, well, unlucky. Alright, this is match 5 of the league. We have double Compass in hand, which is more than we'd like. Makes it so that we don't have as much value as I would like here, but one of them is decent because it fixes our mana. They mulligan to 5, so maybe we'll be okay. Then again, maybe that just means they're like Spy combo or something. Hey, look at that. That's a land grant. Oh, but they are Turbo Initiative or something? Avenging Hunter, Chrysalis with Rite of Flame, Woodland Chasm. Okay, I no longer know what's going on. I guess we just play 2 compasses here. I don't want to use Glint Hawk on a compass, and I can't play the Thoughtcast yet. Now I can. So I guess they load it. They find a land. They can Lotus Petal, Rite of Flame, or Spirit Guide. I can get them to Avenging Hunter on turn 2. If we, we get to Tithing Blade their Avenging Hunter, and then if we're lucky, we get an untapped land, and we can also Glint Hawk to just take it. They only have a Chrysalis left. I think MTGO's lagging or something. Alright, so they have Chrysalis and a Swamp. Why'd they get a Swamp and not a Mountain for their Chrysalis? Maybe they don't have a Mountain? Okay, there we go. We do draw a land, which is absolutely phenomenal, because they they just spent everything to get this initiative, and now we get to Tithing Blade and Glint Hawk. Pick up the Tithing Blade. You could tap for... Oh, yeah. Return the Vault. You're right. We could have gotten down Glint Hawk and Tithing Blade even if we didn't top deck the land. Very good point. They lost connection to the game. Did they just rage quit? I mean, if you didn't top... Yeah. Yep, very good point. Yep, our opponent rage quit. They got the turn 2... I mean, they mulliganed to 5, but then they still got the turn 2 initiative, which should be considered a win. I mean, not in the game, but, you know, morally or something. Well, I guess our last match is going to be sitting here for 5 minutes, which gives us time, because, of course, the new Spider-Man / Through the Omen Paths cards are on MTGO. I did post an early access video a couple of days ago, trying out some things, but I'm interested to hear what other people, what viewers and stuff are interested in seeing from the new set. Are there any cards that look interesting Any lists you've seen that would look cool? Because I'm down to try whatever within reason. And I mean, I guess we might as well just move over to this and start brewing something while they're doing that. So I mean, let me bring in the list that I played the other day. That was the most interesting. Was this Sultai Affinity list? Most interesting to me. With this Lurking Lizards new card. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and it's a 1/3 with trample. And so every time you cast, and of course, you know, I try not to make every single deck that I play Affinity, but I do like Affinity, and the cards are just really good. So every time you cast a Refurb, Frogmite, Thoughtcaster, Mirror Enforcer, the Lurking Lizards is going to get a counter. And Ethereum Spinner is another card that gives you Thopter every time you cast something with 4 mana value or greater. So this seems kind of cool to me. I'm trying the Sultai Affinity at my locals later. Really like it. Yeah, let me know how that goes, because I'm very excited to see if it's, you know, viable in any way. Mostly I've just seen people talking about adding Spider-Man Darval to White Weenie. That is one of the things that I tried. I can't say I was able to make it very effective in the video, although I only played one match. But yeah, it was the thing that I was thinking was going to be the most impactful. The more I've thought about it and played with it a little bit, I'm not sure if it's going to make that big of a difference, because it's like if it was a 3/3 on turn 1, maybe it'd be a bigger difference. But since it's a 3/3 on turn 2, you can already kind of do that with a Rafine's Informant, get a 3/2 on turn 2. Of course, this allows you to rebuy your Thraben Inspector, but it also, you have to jump through more hoops. But yeah, that is an option. What else could be good for this list? Because this was just a list I threw together. I know somebody mentioned Cryogen Relics, of course, and Pactol Terror could be kind of cool in here. Pactol is another 4-drop. We don't get to cheat the mana cost in any way, but if we get a Pactol Terror down before we get these, it can be a lot of pings, or Ethereum Spinner with Pactol's pretty good. So maybe that's something to try 1 or 2 of in here. I think probably just 2. The issue that I had was finding room for everything, because it was like the deck's built around Lizards and then Spinner, and then we need, like, Frogmite's been cut from a lot of Affinity lists, but in a deck that just wants as many 4-drops as possible, I think it's pretty important. But it's kind of hard to find room beyond that. I don't have to play Rebukes. Technically, I don't have to play Cast Down, but obviously I think it's a foolish endeavor to not play any removal. We don't have to play 3 Blood Fountains, but Blood Fountain is pretty good with Mirror Enforcer, just in general, all of the Affinity we have going on. And I only fit in 8 card draw spells, our Wellsprings and our Offerings and Bargains. So I don't know. Also, I have a 1 of Swamp in here, but with so much Affinity, it almost feels like you just want to accept that you're going to lose to a Dust to Dust. Maybe put some negates in the sideboard, or that's part of what the Rebuke is for. But like, maybe we just don't need this Swamp. Put in another bridge, or maybe one of these. So I don't know. Maybe putting in 2 Pactols. Blood Fountain's pretty good with Pactol too. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe City Pigeon going into an Abzan Pestilence Shell could be cool. Seems like it could be something in that Cauldron Familiar list. Yeah, I agree that it has some potential. Abzan Pestilence I think is a pretty sweet deck that's been getting better, that I've been meaning to try on the channel, so we'll have to do that at some point. But yes, the City Pigeon, I don't think it's the best thing ever. I think it might be better in, like, because it as a 1/1 flyer is just kind of irrelevant, but if you made it Abzan Pestilence and you kind of did like a Gates thing, I don't know if you could make all of that work, but Gates would make it so the 1/1 flyer is a lot more relevant. The food, of course, is good for Cauldron Familiar, but yeah, I would just want to find a way to make the actual flying body relevant, and I think Gates is a nice way to do that. We are still waiting on this guy, so yeah. Maybe just throw in a couple Pactol and do, I don't know, we could do less card draw. Feels like we already don't have that much card draw, though. And then sideboard, this is what we got right now. Yeah, sometimes when I'm making a list, it just feels like everything in this list is kind of required. But that might not be true. We don't have to play 4 Spinners. 4's a lot. 4 Lurking Lizards, I think, makes sense just because of what it is, plus the fact that we are kind of building around it. But Spinner is a 3-drop, which makes it harder to fit more of them in. And really only having 1 of them on the field is all that you need. Multiple could be really good, but it's hard to, like, get multiple of them down. So maybe just 3 Spinners is fine. All right, we won that match. And so we ended up with a 3-2 from that league. And I reduced to 2 Spinners, 2 Fountains, 1 Rebuke. Gonna try 4 Cast Down, 1 Fangs. Ooh, actually I like Fangs. And Fangs, of course, on Enforcer is good, but with Lurking Lizards could be really good. 4 Bargains, since my locals usually Elves, Rally, Madness. Okay. Yeah, 2 Spinners. We could do 2 spinners. I could see that. The deck's built more around the lizards. 2 fountains. I do like the sound of fangs, and I also kind of like the sound of 4 cast down. We do that. We're at 62, and then you said cut of rebuke and a blood fountain. Yeah, I'm down to try that. I think those sound like some pretty good changes. And you said 4 bargains. Yeah, I mean, if your meta is that, I think that's fair. I think I kind of like having the extra and offering the offerings for pack doll triggers for just extra damage potentially. Also keep our affinity count high. I think we'll keep this, but otherwise I like the sound of this. I guess we gotta go pick up these lizards and these spinners. So let's do that. But yeah, I think this sounds like a sweet list to try out. I kind of liked how it played out the other day. So we'll see how it does in an actual list or an actual league. All right, we're picking up 4 of these guys, 4 of these guys. I don't know why everything's so enormous here. Apparently they want our Starfield Shep. All right. Anything we need to change in the sideboard? Blue Blast. I mean, Arms of Hadar is slow, but we have a lot of blockers that can be early enough to hopefully get us to 4 against like a rally, or against elves, maybe not. But we have cast downs. I don't know. Could be Suffocating Fumes. Duress, I think, is probably the best here. Spell Bomb. Could be Fairy Macabre, but Spy isn't quite as prevalent. And I think Oof is probably good here because we have a lot of artifacts to sacrifice. So yeah, let's take this for a league and see how it goes. Lurking Lizards also has the plus side of not sticking out too much vibe/art-wise. I do like that as well. Yeah, compared to the rest of the set. Yeah, they did the season just end? Looks like it. Pauper League. I thought it said it ended at 6, but whatever. Yes. Yeah, they did like several of the cards, especially like random commons and stuff, they have the same name, which makes it even more confusing, to be honest. But those generally seem like they don't stick out as poorly with the art and the name and things like that, so I enjoy that. All right, let's see how this I guess I'll update the title, not because I forgot this time, but because we're testing new Spider-Man / Through the Omen's Paths cards. All right, we have a Lizards and a Refurb. We're very heavily flooded for our kind of aggro-ish deck, but this could be a turn 2 Lizards, turn 3 Familiar. I'm gonna keep it. I could definitely see this being a mulligan, but we're just testing stuff out. Let's see how good Lizards can be, just coming down on turn 2. We're on the draw too, which means our aggression is worse, but it gives us more draws to hopefully find something better play. Some more good cards to play, rather. They mull to 6 and playing something blue. Saying this yesterday, lots of blue going around. We get a Wellspring, that's not bad. The 1/3 base body is pretty interesting. Yeah, it is. Of course, it's, the moment you play it, it dies to bolt, but if you're able to trigger it right away and they don't have a bolt right away, then it can get out of that range pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And then if you're able to trigger it a couple times, it can get out of Galvanic Blast range. It can make it hard to the Thraben Charm. Yeah, at first I didn't like the look of the 1/3 because I was like, I'd rather it have more power, maybe be a 2/1. But honestly, 1/3 surviving the earlier turns easier and then growing after that is pretty cool. So they Lorien, play another island. I mean, we're just going to play our Lizards, I think. I could just Wellspring, but that could get Spell Pierced easier. Also, there's always the chance they're High Tide, in which case I want to get damage as quickly as possible. Luckily, I haven't seen a lot of High Tide recently in my leagues, but always got to be wary. But it could also just be Terror, which is a lot more common, and there it is. Thought Scour, Sleep of the Dead. This is gone, by the way. So it is Terror. So next turn I can Refurb Wellspring, hit for 2. Thought Scour, hit 2 islands. Pretty nice for us. So that's only 4 spells for them. No Terror yet. We get a seat, so we're getting flooded even more. I know we started with 5, but we've drawn 2 lands and only 1 spell, which is not what should be happening. We're going to start with the Wellspring, see if they want to counter that, and then probably Refurb here. Offering's pretty good. I was going to say maybe I don't Refurb because they clearly just hold a counterspell here, but we only have 1 black mana for next turn if I'm going to Offering, so I probably just do this. It also gets our Lizards going quicker, but maybe this is still foolish because it just walks right into the counterspell. Or it doesn't, and it resolves. Discard a Deep Analysis. I guess we're helping him out in that way. Swing for 2. Cycle a Lorien, so that puts him to 6 spells in grave. I mean, if we draw well, this Lizards could even block Terrors and things like that and eventually outgrow them. But we need, I guess, for a Serpent, we need 3 more triggers on this, so that's going to be tough. Forcer helps, though. All right, I'm going to play a Seat, so if they have a Spell Pierce, this doesn't get countered. And then sack this for... Yeah, I I could have maybe enforced it first for 1 mana, but I want to see what I draw. We don't have more black mana, so I can't refurb, which is annoying. But I can now play Enforcer. Having Buddy that plays a lot of blue, they always try to represent having it while holding a handful of air. No, for sure. I mean, they definitely want to. I think every time you can hold up blue is great for this exact reason. But you never know. Clearly they don't have it. Which, this guy's a 4/6 now. I could map onto it, which means if I don't hit a land, I could attack and I can block this. But then they have a Sleep of the Dead, which they can use on this. So I think I'd rather use this on an Enforcer, which can then trade, because this is going to grow when we play a familiar next turn. Lurking Lizards. I mean, that's not bad. Seeing as we still have 2 refurbs to play, that's a 3/5 in a couple turns. We'll keep it and swing with the familiar. I've been forced to / gotten greedy and played my untapped lands here to be able to use the mana right away, which means I haven't gotten down more black, which is biting us a little bit by not playing the refurbs, but it's actually going to make this Lizards a little better. The Lizards on top, that is. If they do find like a Demon Inferior or something, that's going to be pretty good against the Lizards, but for now, Sleep of the Dead on this Enforcer and Ponder. So that's 2 Sleep of the Dead in their grave. I would assume the only 2, plus a Deep Analysis. So when they play an island, they have a Terror. All right, out of cards. That means we get to draw from our familiar. They could attack, and I would trade this off, but I'm pretty happy they don't, because now we get to play another Lizards, refurb. I guess Thoughtcast would be our best draw. Grows both of these and draws us 2. Seat, fair enough. Play this bridge, and now they're just gonna have Sleep. If they draw an island, they could use it twice. Boom, boom. They get it for a lot. I could attack with this. More than likely, it'll trade with one of their guys. If I don't, they're gonna tap it down to... I'm worried if they get an island, they tap. They get to attack with everything for 17 damage. If I don't attack with this, I can go triple block here, and they can trade for these. That's not the worst. And then they can't sustain tapping these forever for a little while. I guess we're not going to attack. We should be able to win the long game here, because if they top like a Lorien, that's going to be pretty good for them. They have a Deep Analysis, so maybe I should be pressuring their life total more. Start with a Brainstorm. We obviously have a lot of good draws. Any of our card draw, Thoughtcast, things like that. It's probably our best because it triggers our Lizards and draws us more, but also if we just get like a cast down, that'd be pretty good. Looks like they're going to sleep this guy. Since they didn't double sleep though, they attack here, and I guess I'd double block one of these. I take 11. 11 is a lot to take when they are going to have another Sleep of the Dead. Wait, I should probably just see if I can kill them, because this doesn't untap, but I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wait, do I just have lethal? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think I just have lethal if I don't block anything. Assuming they don't have like a Delver or another Terror, which if they do, that's pretty bad. But if not, they maybe miscalculated. Make them discard their card, so I know there's nothing. It's a counterspell. Okay, count one more time. 12, 16 damage. We will attack for lethal. Yeah, I don't think they counted how much we had on the crackback. That was pretty close. Here we get Duresses and Spell Bombs. Fangs could be okay, but they probably have Demon Inferiors. I don't really want to give even more power to the Demon Inferior than just what the Lizards already do. Pactile Terrors feels slow, and they don't rival the damage from the Terrors very well, so I think we can cut those. Rebuke is okay. Feels like it loses value pretty quickly. Spinners can be good as chump blocker makers. Blood Fountain's decent. Feels like I could cut a couple Frogmites because they're not the best, but they always trigger these. So maybe I just cut like some card draw, bargain, and maybe 1 Frogmite, I guess. Well, that hand did end up working out. Lizards was pretty good. This hand has no green. It's got a Duress, but that's kind of it. I think this is bad. This one looks better, I think. So I can do a turn 2 Lizards, turn 3 Refurb Frogmite, and Spell Bomb, which means Spinner just doesn't really fit into this. Could be good if I can like draw a land, go Lizards, Spinner, and then everything, but I don't know. If I don't draw the land, this is just the better cards to keep. If I do, it's also just really slow. More expensive cards are worse against counter spells and things. Flip the Delver off a Lorien. Cycle it. Alright, we're gonna hope the Lizards, it should survive, unless they have a Force Spike. Should survive counter spells and things, and the next turn we can at least grow it to a 3/5, assuming it doesn't get Demon Inferior'd or anything. Mental Note hits a Terror and an Island. Nice for us. Swing for 3. Thought Scour, again unlucky. Island Delver. It's only 3 spells in their grave. Thought Scour again. 2 islands. Brutal. And they missed their land drop. Well, that's very nice for us. 1, 2, 3. Only 4 spells in their graveyard, so I guess this could be 5. I could just cast down the Aberration. We need to play this first, but I think it's probably better to just play out Refurb, Frogmite, and Spellbomb. Discard a Deep Analysis. Yeah, I think we're just going to crack the Spellbomb. They have 5 spells now in Grave, so that's enough to finally get a Terror. Plus, they have this... I'd like to pay 1 for my Spellbomb, please. Plus, they have a Deep Analysis that they're going to do to try to draw some more cards. So we lose the card draw here, but I think it's still worth it. Swing for 3. And if they have to spend their turn cantripping as opposed to holding up Counterspell, maybe we can cast down the Aberration, just get in for like 7 next turn. All right, they are going to hold up mana. I'm just going to swing with everybody. Our clock is a lot faster than theirs now, so I could lead back the Familiar, but I think I'm good with just the attack. And they trade anyway. Pass. Sleep of the Dead. Alright. If they don't have much going on, they're just trying to gain some time. Forcer could eat a Counterspell here. They clearly don't have any other lands because they just played that 1 and they were missing land drops before. They probably have a couple of Terrors. Chances are they probably do have a Counterspell, so I think we'll wait a turn to play the Enforcer. Hopefully we can get like another Enforcer or Refurb or something and we can land one of those through a Counterspell. And they can't keep sleeping this unless they have another in hand or they like Mental Note and then hit a land drop. Demon Inferior, that will work. We don't really want it at this point since it's just going to be a 1-3 and we don't know if we're going to be able to refill our hand. But that means Enforcer's going to resolve. And we get another land. Swing for 2, pass. Alright, and we win the match against Terror, the best, or at least one of the most prevalent decks in the format, with our amazing Brew. Alright, we don't have an early Lizards or really any aggression at all. We do have a Cast Down and a Wellspring, and we have decent mana. Again, just haven't played this deck enough to know if this is a good enough hand, but we have card draw to find something. I think we'll give it a try. Finally, Tree of Tales is playable again. Yes, indeed. Looks like we're against White Weenie. Yeah, it's been a whole 6 months since Broodscale was banned. That Tree of Tales was last playable. Got an Inspector and another one. All right, we get to play an Enforcer next turn. Ideally, we get something not lands. All right, I will play one of these for 3 mana. They have a Rafine's Informant for a Battle Screech. That's pretty good. Wish I had Arms of Hadar in the main deck right now. Thoughtcast is a good draw. We're just gonna hope to get something good off of that. Those are pretty good. We get to Lizards and then Refurb, and then Mirror Enforcer. I mean, we could give them like a Prismatic Strands or another Battle Screech, but still. It was a Chocomog, that's pretty good. So I could attack for 4. They only have a couple guys on the ground, which I can already block pretty effectively, so yeah, I think we will. I'm happy to trade this for an Informant and a Bird if they want to do that, but they take 4. And let's see what else they got. If they find a 3rd mana, they can start pumping the team with either Chocomogs, Guardian's Pledges, things like that. Another Informant, gains them some life, and bins a Guardian's Pledge. I feel like that means they've got to have at least another one. They swing with the birds. I think I'm good with this trade, seeing as these are going to get scarier, and if they do have another Guardian's Pledge and attack with it next turn, then I'm not going to be able to trade. Wellspring. I guess I should leave up green in case we get a Lizards. I could just hold up Cast Down. I probably don't want to attack now. Almost all their guys are on the ground. Plus, if they go for the Guardian's Pledge or something, I want to have blockers. So I think I'll play this over getting a Cast Down, leaving a Cast Down up, and hope we get either like a Reckoner's Bargain or Thoughtcast into some more guys. Thraben Charm the big Lizards. Okay. Annoying, but reasonable. Swing with the bird, and we're getting lands. We're going to pass this time. I might cast down this bird, to be honest. We're certainly going to see if they have anything else first, though. Yeah, I'll even take one, because if they have like a Skyfisher here, I'd rather cast that down. They got nothing. Okay, we'll just leave it then. Well, we are drawing a lot of lands. I believe we have 20. There is a possibility we should be playing like 19, because we are much more of an aggro deck than a lot of the other affinity piles that are more mid-rangey. Thraben Charm the Enforcer down. And they hit their 3rd land finally. They have another Thraben Charm. Well, I guess if they have all the removal, I can't do much about that. Inspector. I mean, they only play 4 Thraben Charms as their removal usually, and they have 3 of them. Well, I'm going to block here and cast down a Informant now. I'd rather just take out a highest power guy since we don't have enough blockers for everybody now. And well, if we just kick things off there with a Fanatical Offering or something, I think we'd have a chance, but now it looks like we're going to die. Swing with almost everything. We'll take 6. They have a Skyfisher, which is really unfortunate because this is going to be a Dust to Dust opponent, so we're going to have a tough time surviving here. And we draw another land. Amazing. Well, we get duresses for Dust to Dust as well as their removal and stuff. And Arms of Adar. You don't need Rebuke. Fangs could be okay. Not the best thing against a Prismatic Strand, but yeah, it's not bad. Cast Down is not amazing. Certainly rather the Arms. Blood Fountain's kind of rough because they have a bunch of Thraben Charms. We'll keep one in. Pactol Terror could be good if we see those ever. I might just cut a land because I am kind of thinking that, like, I mean, these are 0 drops ideally. These are 1 drops. These are all 1 or 0 drops. And we just don't have anywhere near as much card draw as other decks. So maybe we try cutting a land, see how that works. Since we're testing things. Well, we have pretty reasonable hand, even with that land cut. So we're on the play, so I can bridge Tree of Tales with the Lizard, and they'll only have 2 mana, so then I can Duress on turn 3, and won't be Dust to Dusted. So I think we're going to do that. Theoretically, if they play like Revoke Existence, they could get us, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I haven't seen it a lot recently. And we have some decent card draw here, but of course we need some 4 drops to make the Lizards scary. They mulligan once. They got their veteran again. More card draw. Lizards and pass. So next turn we'll just Duress and Wellspring probably. They discard a Plains. Of course, Duress is a little weird in this matchup. Ooh, we have Spinner too. Duress is a little weird because it's really good and important for the one that I mentioned, Dust to Dust, and it can be decent against Thraben Charm, but they are a mostly creature deck, so it's possible we'll whiff. We did not whiff. They have 1 Thraben Charm and they have 3 Plains. So that seems pretty good for us. Next turn we can go Spinner. Ideally we draw a land so we can Spinner Familiar and then just draw a bunch after that. Also they discarded a land with this Informant so it can't even get in, which is kind of cool. We do get a land, so Spinner, Refurb, trigger both of these and make them discard a Plains. And I guess we'll attack because now it's big enough to not die. And they concede. They did not, I mean they'd mulliganed once. It seems like a reasonable enough keep. It's not amazing, but like if they had 3 lands and these 3, that's not bad. They just drew more lands. We had a bunch of card draw to use after that, so that was pretty good. I wanted to see the Spinner do some more work, so I'm annoyed the game didn't go on a little longer, but we need blue for the Spinner here, but we do just have Lizards into Frogmite and maybe Pactol on turn 4. Mulligan again, and they always have that veteran. Alright, I would have preferred a blue source, but we did get a land, so we can play a Pactol on curve. They do have the Revoke Existence. Alright, a little annoying, but luckily they didn't take us off a color or anything. We'll play a Vault in case they go for another one. We still have black and green. Great Sword of Tyr. Okay. Lunarch Veteran gonna get Swole. Another Spinner is not what we want. Play a Lizards. Seed to the Synod would be great here. They hit for 3 Inspector and Skyfisher. Pick up the Inspector. Rest, they only have 1 unknown card, and it's clearly not a Dust to Dust or Revoke Existence, I don't think. But I have nothing else to play, right? I'm going to play a Frogmite here, so we have 2 blockers, and this gets bigger. Yeah, I guess we'd arrest them. I mean, could be a Thraben Charm. Feels like any other spell they get, they're probably going to use right away. I mean, it's a Battle Screech. That maybe just helps them. They can flash it back, but they'd have to not attack with their Lunarch Veteran, which they kind of want to do right now. We're going to grow this and just pass. So I don't really know if that was a win or not, but still takes away 2 birds regardless. I think it's okay. They do attack with the Veteran and the Skyfisher. I mean, we are dying pretty quick here. They tap the Lizards. They should probably tap the Frogmite at this point because they'd want us to chump with the Lizards more. We're just going to take it, though. We kind of need this affinity count for the Mirror Enforcer. We have 4 cast downs, right? No, we pulled a couple cast downs from the main deck. We still have 2, I think, though, right? Yeah, I pulled 2, so I still have 2. We don't have blue mana, so here's a Mirror Enforcer. Now, no matter what they tap, I can block the Veteran and trade, but could also just throw it on this Skyfisher and attack for 3 in the air. That's a couple turn clock. They're still just going for it. That's fair. They tap the Lizards. This time it doesn't really matter. That's fine. They could have a Thraben Charm to make the double block bad, but I think we have to kill the 5/5 while we potentially have an option to do so. Guardian's Pledge. Well, we're just dead then. Well, game 1 we drew so many lands, and then here we did not draw a blue source. If we had and got some Ethereum Spinners going, I think we would have been in a pretty good spot, having blockers for everything. All right, this one's decent. Is Tamio Safekeeping or Ranger's Guile something for this deck, or too slow? If we did anything like that, it would probably be Tamio Safekeeping, but I'm not sure. I mean, it is slow. I'm just not sure if what we want to be spending our cards on is protection. I mean, I guess it's not bad if we are trying to like kind of go aggro, make sure to keep our Lizards alive. but I think we'd rather just like actual counter spells like Metallic Rebuke or something like that. It's not a terrible idea by any means. I just think that it might make more sense to do that. I don't know. Yeah, I just think in general you probably don't want protection spells in this type of deck. You'd rather just more threats. All right. I'm going to guess we're probably against Terror again, but I'm going to throw out the spinner anyway, because if it resolves, it's really, really good for us. I didn't figure. But next turn I can Refurb and Blood Fountain maybe. Mental Note, they mill a Deep Analysis and Brainstorm they set up, and they Brainstorm, so that's already 6 spells in their grave. In addition to what I already said, green is currently our splash color. Lizards is the only green spell in our main deck, and we have a couple green spells in our sideboard. So keeping the green count low is another reason that I'd probably prefer like blue counter spells. Lizards is not bad here because we get to play that and then trigger them both, but we are looking down a Terror, which is scary. We don't currently have another way to trigger them. They flashback Deep Analysis right away. I'm not going to block because I don't want to trade 2 of these for this when these guys can be bigger, but they do have another Terror. We're going to play a Blood Fountain, and I was thinking I didn't want this to get countered, but they only have Spell Pierce or Dispel. I probably should have played around Spell Pierce. I'm going to play this bridge, and I'm not going to use this bargain right now then. I'll probably block with a Refurb and bargain, and if they counter it, it's fine, I guess. Thought Scour, mills a couple spells. Ponder, swing with both. We will chump, bargain away the familiar. Try to gain 4 and draw 2. They do have the Spell Pierce. Demon Inferior, the Blood Fountain. That's pretty good. I'll put it second from the top, I guess. We really need Thoughtcast. They Thought Scour us? No, they Thought Scour themselves. They could get rid of the Blood Fountain if they did that, but Thoughtcast, another Lizards doesn't do anything. And I can Blood Token this away, but we have a Blood Fountain on top, so that doesn't matter. I mean, I guess this allows us to triple block, and they still only eat 1 of them, but that's if they don't have another Demon Inferior or a Sleep of the Dead or anything. Lorien Revealed. They're going to swing. We will block. They trade for a 2/4 and have a Delver. We get a Blood Fountain, but now I have to... Oh, I probably should not have kept this because I forgot that I have to play it, crack it. I was thinking I could Refurb in the same turn, which would trigger these, but I cannot do that. It's 1 mana too much. And if I just play it, crack it, I have nothing going on, then I have to chump, plus I'm taking 2. That's pretty bad. Well, I guess I have to get rid of it and hope that our next card draw is better. It's not. All right, probably going to lose this one now. That Demon Inferior on the Blood Token. I always forget Demon Inferior goes to non-land permanent because it's almost exclusively used on creatures because that's the best type of permanent, but yeah, it's really good. Augur of Bolas is not something you see a ton in this deck. Finds a Mental Note though. Oh, and Delver didn't flip, I forgot to mention. But we have to chump, so not like things are going great for us regardless. And a Demon Inferior. That one's going on the bottom. And we get another Lizards anyway. Alright, that one did not work out. Again, we get these. What did we cut? These. Cast Down's good. I mean, it was only 1 game, or 2 games, but I liked how we played with fewer lands. Maybe I cut. I think I did something like that. Oh, apparently this screen is still up. I would not like to concede. Trying to clean up. Alright. We can play a Thoughtcast on turn 3 for 2 mana. It's not super aggressive. We'd prefer a Lizards, but like, is this really a hand we throw back? Maybe. Ponder, shuffle. Hey, we got the Lizards right away anyway. Perfect timing, because Thoughtcast is going to grow that. They just play a land and pass, so Thoughtcast probably just gets countered. I think I'd rather just not play it. Brainstorm. Like, I would still get the trigger. I'd attack for 2, but I still don't love that. Mental Note away, a Mental Note in an island. Play another island. Enforcer. Okay, so I could play an Enforcer here, and then if that gets countered, I play a Thoughtcast. I think I'd rather the Enforcer get countered, to be honest. Although they could, counterspell and then Spell Pierce. If they annul, then they have actual counterspell, so probably just let it go. Yeah, we'll attack for 2. They Thought Scour us. Get rid of Frogmite and a Pactol Terror. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah. Terror's 1 mana. Duress is a good draw. See what they're working with, or tap them out of some mana if they want to counterspell. Counterspell, Brainstorm, Thought Scour. I mean, Brainstorm could draw into another counterspell, but what are you going to do? I'm going to take the counterspell. I'm going to Thoughtcast, trigger this, and we will play a Mere Enforcer. Now our Lizards is big enough to block, not quite enough to attack. They Brainstorm, then Thought Scour, and they hit an island, so we know they have a Lorien still. Nope, never mind. They cycle the Lorien. Play an island. Flashback Deep Analysis. If they find a Demon Inferior, it costs 1 mana, and it gets rid of our Lizards, which is really annoying. Ponder. Oh, the deck list is probably still the Esper deck list. So let me change that real quick. We got a Pactol Terror. That's a pretty good draw. So we can Pactol and Fanatical Offering. Pactol probably gets countered. Yeah. All right. This should be the real deck list now. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to play this because... Oh, I should have played Pactol first because that's a trigger. Unless I want the Pactol to resolve instead of the Fanatical. I guess I probably want the Fanatical to go off. So yeah, I should have done this in the other order. But this triggers the Lizards. They counterspell, so while they're tapped out, I'm going to Offering away a land. Hope we get like Frogmite and Mirror Enforcer. No, it's more lands. Well, I can attack for 5 now, though. Put them down to 9. Next turn, if we still have our guys, we can map onto the Mirror Enforcer. Maybe attack for 10 or more. Cycle Alorian, and then Mystic. Okay, Mystic is scary. What are the chances they have a null? Pretty high, probably. I think we try it anyway. Okay. They did not. I will map onto the Mirror Enforcer. They discard a counterspell. Their hand is stacked. Nile Spellbomb. I mean, we'll leave that on top. It'll probably get counterspelled, but we get to attack for a bunch. They trade with the Terror. They don't have a way to chump it, which is nice. Like, they didn't have a spell to cast to chump the Enforcer. They go to 3. Demon Fury is going to be the death of us here, though. Potentially. Not death, but, like, it's going to set us back dramatically and be really bad. Deep Analysis, if they want to tap out for that. A Mental Note, and then Brainstorm. Island, Brainstorm, they're digging. I mean, a Sleep of the Dead would also keep their guy around for a turn, or like prevent this from attacking for a turn. Although I almost want to see that, because then we get to Spell Bomb, assuming they don't have it a null. We get to blow up the Sleep, too. Well, there's a Terror. That's pretty good. They only have 1 mana, so... and only 1 card that we don't know about, so I'm going to hope there's no null, and we can Spell Bomb them. Draw a new card. I don't think we've seen a cast down, like, basically this entire league. I guess 1 time against White Weenie. So if I attack, they block here, and then I trade with a Bird and a Terror, which I don't want to do. Yeah, I guess we have to pass. Just so many lands. Deep Analysis, draw some cards. Pass to us, we get Ethereum Spinner. Don't think there's any reason to cast that. Another Deep Analysis, which they can't flash back, but still the draw 2s are pretty good. Frogmite, I think we pass. A Frogmite on the ground doesn't do anything. Trigger on the Lizards doesn't do anything. Getting a Spinner guy is decent, but both, like, this has to resolve for that to happen, so I think I'd rather wait until we get something like this that we really want to resolve, and then we'll go for it. Spinner, lose focus a million times, okay. So I'd have to pay 8. I can't do that. And now Frogmite doesn't really matter, so I guess this just gets countered by 1 thing. But we're going to try Dispel. We will pass. Thought Scour us. Hit 2 more lands. I guess I'm glad we're not drawing those. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Demon Fury on this guy. I don't think there's any way we can come back once this guy's gone, so we're just going to concede, unfortunately. There is a possibility that we could play a more tempo kind of a deck and like include some counter spells. Like, I know we have the Metallic Rebukes, but I could even try some like Spell Pierces and things, and just trying to like stick a Lizards early and then survive through that, like with the counter spells. I don't know if that's a great idea, just because, well, I don't know if that works with this list super well, but I don't know. It is an interesting idea. I also haven't looked too much. It's possible there are other ways to have cheap cards that, you know, really cost 4 mana, but you can get for 1 or 2. Spectacle and various things like that, that maybe we could try a totally different list that doesn't need affinity is a possibility. Alright, we have some card draw, so I guess we'll keep, even though that's the other thing, is like, this is an okay hand for like a mid-range deck because we have a lot of card draw, but we're supposed to be a little more aggressive. Is this aggressive enough? Not really, but we'll play Wellspring and pass. Black Mage's Rod. I'm gonna guess we're against Jund Affinity. Not Jund, Grixis Affinity. I could just throw out a Frogmite. It doesn't feel like that's super relevant. I think we'll pass and just hold up Offering or Rebuke and do whichever one feels better. 100 card hero subscribed with Prime. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. They're gonna swing for 2 and just pass. So yeah, I guess we'll just draw 3 here. Ethereum Spinner, Fangs. If we get a Lizard, Fangs gets pretty decent. Let's play Seat so I can hold up Rebuke, but I can Spinner and then Frogmite here. And then if they try to Galvanic Blast it, I can Rebuke. Although that's not going to trigger it, but makes them use more removal on it. I think it might be okay. We do take 1 here, and then we're going to pass. 100 card hero. I believe you're the 6th subscriber. The first 10 people to subscribe get a founder badge that sticks with you forever. And yeah. You can only get it if you're one of the first 10 to ever subscribe. And then I also have a cool little StrataGames logo badge for anybody who subscribes that changes colors as you are subscribed for multiple months. So, you know, cool stuff you can get. They're pinging us for a bunch with this guy. Spell Bomb. Found you on YouTube. Thanks for the content. No problem. I appreciate that you like the content. I'm glad that you're watching it over there and over here. It's fun to be able to do both. They have a lot of enforcers. That's not great for us. And a blowgun. Okay. Come on, something good. Thoughtcast. Bargain is okay. It's a big difference, not just because it's 2 mana and I have to sack a thing, but it doesn't make another guy. But it's not going to stop us from using it. Here, draw 2. Wellspring. If I play a Wellspring, I can't cast down or Fangs, although I'm not looking to Fangs here. Yeah, I think I just cast down one of these enforcers while they don't have mana to sacrifice it or anything. I think I'll just pass. They're going to crack a blood token, discard a swamp, Mistvault Bridge, and equip the blowgun onto the enforcer. I think we're just going to chump here. Now we get a Frogmite. I mean, that triggers this. Play a Wellspring. Another Frogmite. Okay. I mean, I'd love if we also had a Lizards growing, especially with this Fangs, but I will certainly play these and make a bunch of Thopters. And do I want to attack with a Ethereum Spinner? I guess it just being around is really good. Like if I get a Thoughtcast into some Mirror Enforcers or whatever, it's just a large possibility of going off, making a bunch of guys. Crack the Spell Bomb. So we'll pass. I could also have Fangs on here for 3 life. That doesn't seem that great when they have blockers for it. Well, another Black Mage's Rod is going to put us in some danger. A lot of pings to be had. I'm just going to keep chumping. I could go for like a triple block, but if they have a Galvanic, it kind of eats our guys. Plus, I just have chump blockers for a while, and I'd like to attack them back with the rest of the guys, I think. Forcer is better than nothing. I think we'll play that. And I think I'm just going to swing with everybody. Now I'm fine if they want to trigger, if they want to trade with the spinner. Hitting for 7. I think we're keeping the Fangs for our Enforcer, and we'll pass. They bargain away their Enforcer. Okay. I guess they can get them both back with the Blood Fountain, so that makes sense. Galvanic Blast, our Mirror Enforcer. I mean, I'm going to try to keep it alive with this Unexpected Fangs and hope that they have no way to deal with that. And then we have a giant lifelinker. Sack the Fountain for the 2 Enforcers, and they refurb our Tree of Tails. That's fine. We get another Tree of Tails. I think we'll attack with the Thopters, because if they equip the Blowgun, the Thopters suddenly can't attack. And I kind of am fine chumping with Frogmites at this point when they have 2 Enforcers sitting around. Also, we're swinging with this guy, obviously. We'll trade 1 for 1, but we gain 5. Maybe that's not the best. We should have just held it. But if they find a cast down and we don't gain our 5 life, it's kind of annoying, especially with the Black Mage's Rods going. They get the Thoughtcast we've been wanting the whole game, though, fortunately. Equip Rod onto the Familiar and Wellspring. I guess Familiar gets in for 3. I probably should have left back 1 Thopter just to block it. That's reasonable. Oh, and a Krark Clan Shaman to wipe all their Frogmites. So they lose their hero, but they get in for 7 if they do that right now. Pretty good. Looks like they're not doing it at the moment, but now we don't really have a reason to not attack with the Frogmites. We can never catch a break, it feels like. We always draw lands when we just need some card draw. I know I don't have the most card draw in this deck, but we still have 4 Fanaticals, 4 Wellsprings, 4 Thoughtcasts. Obviously, we've gone through, 1 Wellspring, 1 Bargain, 1 Fanatical, 2 Wellsprings. Okay, so we've gone through a handful of them, but we just always draw so much land. I guess I gotta hold these back. I should have attacked with the Frogmites because they could swipe them with the Krark, but I'm probably gonna die either way. Hunter's Blowgun onto the Refurb. So now I have to block it with 2 Thopters. I mean, I'll triple block this, and I'll double block this. Yeah, in response, they're gonna sack the Wellspring, so they're gonna keep this Enforcer alive, which means they should have just done this before blocks, probably, because now they're missing out on 4 damage. But maybe they just didn't expect us to block that way, but I don't know why we wouldn't. Trade here. I mean, I guess that didn't go too poorly for us, depending on what they follow up with, and if we draw anything at all on our turn. Equip a Rod over and pass. We get a Spinner. Equip another Rod. I basically have to chump block. I also equip the Blowgun, because if they cast anything after this, I just die, and we get a land. Amazing. Draw a card? Nope, doesn't work. Alright, we do have Troublemaker Oof and Duress, Fangs, Rebuke, probably not necessary. I guess Terror just dies to a Galvanic, so that doesn't feel very effective. If we pay 4 mana and they just wipe it with 1, and I don't know, the card draw we all wanted, I guess maybe just a couple Frogmites. Removal we wanted as well. Alright, let's see if we can beat the inferior Affinity deck. Come on. Grixis is so 2006. Alright, let's see what we can do here. No black mana, but we do have the Lizards on turn 2, or we can do Wellspring into Oof. So I think we're going to keep. Play a Bridge and pass. Enforcer. Lizards is more aggressive, but I think trying to draw cards to hit our black source, but also take them off for mana is probably the best plan here, seeing as we don't have ways to trigger the lizards right away. Now we do if we get black source, but we didn't before. They play a Wellspring. We have another. Well, I'm just gonna take away their black source. Or, well, they have two black sources. Their blue source. And we do draw a land, which is nice. A black one as well. So next turn I can, like, Lizards refurb, maybe. And they only had 2 lands, so they just concede. All right. Let's see if we can do that again. That was pretty good. Speed run that match. We have the Oof again. Not currently anything that we really want to sack. And we have 2 tap lands, so we might be a little slower, but we're going to keep this one. I start with the Spell Bomb. We're going to do Bridge, so we have green in case we want a Lizards, or I guess Oof if we get an untapped land and want to sacrifice one of ours for one of theirs. Cryogen Relic, untapped land. Well, so we need a card draw to hit our land drops. Our Lizards are going to be slow. They got a Thought Cast. I mean, they didn't start with bridges, so their mana's a little, like, they have all 3 colors, but it's, you know, they don't have as much of each of them, so maybe we'll be okay. Blood Fountain's not bad. It lets me Thought Cast here. Plus, then if we don't hit a land there, we can bargain next turn. So I think we're going to do that. Hope to hit a land. Just throwing out a 1/3 here doesn't do enough if we don't hit our land drops. We're not going to hit our land drops anyway, but I think we're going to get rid of the spinner. It's just our most expensive and least effective, I guess. Like next turn, if I get an untapped land, I can go Lizards, Thoughtcast. Depending on what they do, I might just like oof away an Enforcer or one of their lands or something. Refurb. I think we're going to get rid of one of these Lizards. Oof is just really good. Card draw is really good. Enforcer's good. I don't know. Plus we have 4 green 2-drops. We can't really play all of those very quickly. They got a Wellspring and 1 Enforcer. Okay, just 1. Spinner again. So part of me wants to Thoughtcast to try to draw a land. Part of me wants to just Troublemaker oof away the Mirror Enforcer. But then we're actually cutting ourselves down on Affinity. Thoughtcasting after Lizards is best, so maybe I want to bargain here, but then I can't play anything else, even if I draw a land, unless I get like, I don't know. I think it's got to be Thoughtcast. I think we just need to hit our lands. There we go. So now I could play a Lizards so that next turn I could Spinner and Mirror Enforcer, or I could just oof away the Enforcer right now while they're tapped out. I could also just oof away their like red source, or I could go for their black source and the next turn try to go for their other black source. I think we're going to go for Lizards. I would like to get the Spinner down next turn, I think, and so we'll kind of try to double up on the triggers here, as opposed to going for the oofs right now. They Thoughtcast and Wellspring. They get in for 6. Can't do anything about it. Not going to chump. And they refurb. I mean, I need this land if I want to go Spinner, Enforcer. Oof is just really good. I guess we're getting rid of the bargain. That seems crazy. But I need to get down Enforcer this turn to block this. I need to get down Spinner to start blocking these. I guess maybe I don't need 2 oofs. I can get them back later with the Blood Fountain. Yeah, I guess we get rid of one of them. Another Enforcer. We get another Enforcer. That's a really good draw, I believe, because then we get to Spinner, double Enforcer, grows the Lizards so that it blocks their Enforcers. Plus we just make 2 flyers to block their flyers. I like that a lot. They crack a Spell Bomb. Okay, I mean, that does get rid of our other Spinner and our oof, but we have a lot of creatures on board that we can still bring back with the Blood Fountain later, so it's not the end of the world. And I think they're a little desperate because they kind of need a way to get through here. Galvanic Mirror Enforcer's a start. Another Enforcer. Wellspring. All 4 Wellsprings on board for them. Bridge. They can't really swing though because I can trade here, block here, trade, and they don't like that. Okay, they do attack anyway. I mean, maybe they're doing this because they have like another Spell Bomb. They can get rid of our Enforcers. I think it's fine though. I get to trade a Thopter for this Enforcer and this one for this. Toxin. Fair enough. They'll trade both of these for that. But at least we threw the Thopter there, so it wasn't just, they didn't just get to eat our Lizards. We traded for their Enforcers. Refurb is nice. Takes their last card. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could just buy back both Enforcers, play them again, get 2 more guys. That's kind of enticing, but I also kind of like taking their last card and then maybe like oofing away their Enforcer. They do have so many cards just sitting on the field for when they draw something. Breath Weapon, that's a good one to get rid of. So yeah, I either take this Enforcer with the oof, or part of me wants to just take like land because they have so much card draw. It's like maybe we get rid of some of their land to set them back slowly. I don't really know if that's going to be very effective. I think we probably just get rid of a Mirror Enforcer, and I can attack with this Thopter. They do have a Clue and a Cryogen Relic they can crack here so they can draw some more. And there's the Blood Fountain, so that also just buys back 2 Enforcers. That's all they got right now, so yeah, 2 Enforcers. If they swing first with the refurbs. I probably won't block. It looks like they are, because I don't really want them to get them back for the Blood Fountain. I don't want to lose this bargain this turn, so we'll take it. But if they want to now crack the Blood Fountain to get the Enforcers back, we can just do the same, and then we have no trouble blocking the refurbs next turn. Plus we get more flyers, more Thopters off of this. That is what they're going to go for. We get a bridge, which maybe I should just keep in case they get another refurb. We're still going to have enough artifacts to cast these, so let's do that. Make some more guys, and I'll get in for 4 flying. They crack a cryogen on the refurb, blood token away a bridge, play a bridge, swing with the team. I'm trying to think how we get burned by doing this. I mean, if they have a breath weapon, they wipe everything anyway. Yeah, I think we just block everything. They bargain away a refurb. Everything else trades though. They have a Krark, which can get rid of the spinner. That's not bad. Also, it can just draw them. I mean, they could just crack like 3 or 4 Wellsprings here to draw a bunch of cards. I probably would. 2 is all they need. They just do the 2. Fair enough. We have some damage on them, but yeah, that Krark was pretty good. Duress is not a bad draw. We'll start with Duress. Take their bargain. They have another Krark. Yeah, maybe they saw one bargain that they drew and they were like, okay, well, I can just keep the other Wellsprings around, but I probably would have gone a little harder. I could bargain this away. I think seeing as they have 1 draw, well, 2 draws here, Krark doesn't do anything. I'd rather just hold this for if they find removal, or really I'd just like to have a lot of damage on them quickly enough, so I don't really want to take that away if I don't have to. Silver bluff, and they play their Krark, and they're going to pass. I guess Krark is another way to crack these, so that's fair. Another Krark, that is. We're going to swing, and we have cast down for whatever else. I'm not going to use this bargain yet. They are going to crack a Wellspring to the Krark, and then offering the Wellspring as well. They're doing that in response, just in case they get another one and they want to sack the Krark to it, I assume. Thought cast. Well, they're drawing a lot of cards here. I would love a Spell Bomb to make it so a Blood Fountain would not work very well. And they get a Breath Weapon. That's pretty good. We are going to gain 4, draw 2. And those are really good cards to get. They have an Enforcer, map onto the Enforcer. We're just going to kill it. Probably going to want to do that anyway. Might as well not give them the map value. And we've already gone through both Spinners, I believe. I guess a Lizards before this would have been good, but let's just kick things off with a Thoughtcast. They have a Pyroblast. That's a weird one to have brought in, I think. But fair enough. We'll refurb and just pass. 3. They've gone through all 4 of their Enforcers, although if they find a Blood Fountain, they can just bring them back, which is why I want a Spell Bomb to prevent that. They bargain away a land. Play a bridge and pass. We get another refurb. Let's attack for 2. Make him discard another card. It's a land. Play a land and pass. We get a Frogmite. I think I'd probably just run that out. Sandbagging it's better against like a breath weapon, but this could just be a 2-turn clock. And we've already seen 2 breath weapons. I don't know how many they're going to have. And it looks like they're just drawing lands, which is pretty unlucky for them. Cast down's not bad. Galvanic Blast, a refurb. Attack for 4. Yeah, I guess they were probably holding that to try to get a burn win, but trying not to die in 2 turns. Play a bridge. We get a Lizards. Swing for 4. This doesn't die to Breath Weapon, and the refurb doesn't die to Krark. So since we're not already all eggs in one basket, I'm going to play the Lurking Lizards as an additional lethal attacker. All right, we win the match. They drew very unlucky at the end there, but I think they drawn pretty well throughout. Then again, I guess they had so many Wellsprings on the field, they hadn't gotten any of their offerings for a while. But we're able to get there, and that puts us 2-2. So let's see if we can get a positive record with this deck. That would be pretty sweet. That was tense, I agree. But able to get there in the end. That was the match where we had double oof early. We had to discard 1. We had the Lizards, but they ended up dying. Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth there, but... also a breath weapon, or not a breath weapon, excuse me, a blood fountain, if they had drawn one of those, would have been really devastating. So the fact that they'd already seen 1, but I believe they probably had 1 or 2 more. So the fact that they didn't see those was pretty good. I'm a big fan. So we're going to do this last match, and then I think we're going to try brewing another deck around the Lizards. Probably not Affinity, but I have another idea in mind, so stick around for that, I guess. Ethereum Spinners, no black mana, and very all in on the Spinners, but maybe we can go Spinner, and then Frogmite, and just go wide, and, you know, hopefully they won't do anything bad against that in 4 turns. More blue, Fairy Seer. Well, I would love a Lizards, a Wellspring, something I could play for 2 mana. Even a Vault of Whispers wouldn't be bad, because I can at least cast this down. Scry both at the top. Alright, Wellspring is one of the things I asked for. And there's black mana. Bit slow, but still. They swing with the Seer, and they do have the Ninja, so they replay Seer. So I'm going to probably have to play Spinner and play the Frogmite right away, because I'm not going to trade with the Spinner. Yeah. And so we're going to lose a little potential value, but This gives us a blocker for both of these two that I don't mind trading while keeping our spinner around. So I think it's just too good to be able to block both of these. They have another one mind, so good card advantage. It's going to be hard for them to get rid of the spinner in a meaningful way, though. Like, they'd have to snap and counterspell. Bind the monster doesn't turn off the trigger or anything, so currently we don't have any way to trigger it, but it just sitting on the field is going to be really good because it blocks the Fairy Seers nicely. Or rather, the Thopters block the fairies they have nicely. So this next turn we get to play another spinner, bridge, and then... Okay, they have a Harrier Strix. That can tap the Thopter, but if they don't have an island, they can't actually... They can get in with the Fairy Seer, but they can't ninja or anything, so it's not the end of the world. Frogmite's not bad. I get to play another spinner, play another Frogmite, get 2 more Thopters. Now I get to even attack with our Frogmite, and I'll leave back the extra Thopters, so just in case they have a tap or anything, I can just throw a bunch of blockers in front. Then we get a cast down. It seems pretty good. I mean, they missed their land drops. Obviously, that's going to be good for us, but spinner seems really strong in this matchup. We also are only playing 2 spinners, so having them both was really nice. Obviously, Thought Cast would probably be our best draw, makes more Thopters, and then draws us into more gas, ideally. They do snap a spinner, and they just got to pass. I'm not going to cast it into their counterspell mana, but I think I am happy to just keep attacking with these Frogmites. Since we have Thopters to block everything, they do have a Brine Barrow, which I realized was a possibility, but I think I'm fine with that trade. Shrink the Frogmite, and they could just eat it with a hacker if they want. They're actually going to try to trade this hacker here, and then double block the Frogmite here. Triple block, fair enough. So even if I cast down the Strix, they still get to eat this. That makes sense. I'm kind of fine with this trade. I guess it's probably, you know, the hacker's not getting in ever anyway at this point, which is fair. We're just going to pass. If they're scared enough of the spinner, they might just have to hold up counterspell every single turn, which could be good for us. They're going to pass. So I could cast down here. They could then spell stutter, but they do tap out, which it feels like they're not going to want to tap out. I don't know. We're going to get rid of the Strix because it's got a utility, even though getting rid of a fairy might be better to make spell stutter less relevant. We're going to keep playing our lands, and I think just pass here. They have the spell stutter here, so I could cast down. I don't think that matters too much because we have 3 Thopters. They might just be doing it because they have so many cards in hand, they're trying to get something down. And if they have like another spell stutter sprite, then that makes that, that can counter a 3-drop now, like our spinner, or now even a 4-drop. If we're able to bait a counterspell with the spinner and then find a card draw spell and then turn that, once they're tapped out, draw a bunch of cards, I think that'd be probably our best bet. If we keep drawing lands, we can't really do much about it though. Another spell stutter. All right, I mean, now they have more guys than we do, more flyers, so if they want to attack with everything, they can definitely get some ninjas down, but I can block the spell stutters. If I don't block the Brine Barrow, then they can pick it up and then keep another guy alive. I almost want to just block here with the spinner. I know spinner's really good, but I don't know, do like this. And if they ninja, I could cast it down. Yeah, I think we're gonna... So if they have another ninja, casting down now is kind of risky. So I probably just let them go and then cast it down at the end step. I guess if I cast down, they know we have only a spinner left, but they have a Miscreant in hand. They have a Dispel. Okay, so they also have a counterspell. There's the Thought Cast. I mean, spinner doesn't do anything by itself, so if I Thought Cast and they counter that, and then I spinner, I guess it blocks a ninja, but I think I'd rather spinner if they counter that than I have a Thought Cast. And ideally draw something good here. I mean, that could be something good. Double Thought Casts. Exponential Thought Casts. We could still get a Refurb or a Mirror Enforcer or cast down, but we can't cast that now. And Blood Fountain, we could get it under a counter spell, but I really want a blocker for this ninja. So I could Thought Cast, but I have to hit one of my Affinity guys that are free. We've already done two Frogmites. I think we take the hit, but we get a Blood Fountain down while they are tapped out. And then that means we can bring back like 2 spinners. Well, 2 spinners or Frogmites is our only option at the moment, but keep the card draw going. I did 4 Thought Casts in one turn would have been really funny. It might have been the right play, but I think the Blood Fountain's going to be pretty good. And we can also Thought Cast this next turn, and if they counter that, then maybe we get some creatures down from the Blood Fountain, something like that. They do draw with the Ninja. They also get a second Miscreant, so that's pretty good. All right, Bargain is good too. So I'm going to Thought Cast, and if they want to counter that, then I can Bargain. Refurb is good too. I think we're going to Bargain first. I should tap green because we don't have that many spells that are green. Although I guess we've gone through every single one of our blue spells actually, so maybe that's not the case. That's not actually what I should be doing. There's an Enforcer. Okay, I kind of want a Lizards at this point, but that's okay. These are pretty good cards. Let's play a Wellspring. Fangs. Alright, we're going to Refurb and then Enforcer and just hold everything up, I think. Island to discard, and then we'll pass. That was a really good turn. Draw a million. land a couple guys on the field. Bind the monster on the familiar. Okay. I can just offering it later if I want, or obviously I can just offering the Wellspring. Swing with the flyers. So they're probably going to have a ninja. I could just kill a miscreant now, because if they pick one up, they get to draw another card unless I kill the miscreant after, which case I might as well just do it before I take the damage. Or I could go for the ninja, which if they have another ninja is risky. We've already seen 1, 2 with the hacker. I think we're going to try to cast down a ninja here. There's the Moon Circuit hacker. And if they like keep it alive with a ninja or a counter spell or whatever, we have some other things. They do have another ninja, the bigger one. Okay. Like they tap out a good amount here. They draw a card and then they can miscreant and draw another card. So they get good value, but tapping out is pretty good for us because we have Blood Fountain, we have Fanatical Offering. They might not tap out if they have a 1-drop, but if they don't, yeah, they might as well just play it. A 1-drop interaction spell, that is. All right, so how much mana do we have? 10. So I could Blood Fountain back 2 Ethereum Sculptors. I can't use them this turn to any effect. Or I could get back 1 Ethereum Sculptor. Ooh, I can get back an Ethereum Sculptor and a Refurb, which I can replay. That's pretty good. So let's offering the Refurb, cast down, Wellspring. Yeah, I think we just Sculptor, Refurb, and then play these both. Gets me enough blockers for everything, gets me good value. We still have some decent cards in hand. Like the idea of getting double spinner and then maybe drawing into expensive cards is pretty cool. But we've already gone through 4 Thoughtcasts, 2 Frogmites, an Enforcer, and a Refurb, so we have half of our guys left. They play a Seer here. And we also have Cast Down, so good, decent interaction, more card draw. Fangs is not the best in this matchup. It does prevent us from dying for a while, but if they have snaps or bind the monsters, it can be made irrelevant. They're going to swing with the Miscreants. No, they're not. Okay. I would definitely just block them both. If they have a Brine Bearer, that's fine. We have another familiar. Let's just start with a Wellspring. Frogmite, it's good too. Let's play a Refurb. They discard a Moon Circuit Hacker. Let's play a Frogmite. Map onto, I guess, a Refurb. Why not? Lurking Lizards does not seem very good at this moment. We'll put that in the graveyard. Go to combat, and I think we'll swing with these. We still have... we'll leave the Thopter back, I guess. We'll swing with these two, though. And I might as well use the Unexpected Fangs on the Mirror Enforcer. If they have, like, a snap or something, it just makes it worse, but Fangs isn't going to do anything other than maybe gain us life anyway. I mean, it could be a combat trick, but I think it's probably fine there. They just take it, go to 8. Flash in a Galeblade. Another Miscreant. I can't kill a Miscreant in response to make it so they don't draw, so I will not. Otherwise, I might. And they're going to combat. They are swinging all their flyers. No? Chickening out again? Just testing the waters. I mean, I have blockers for all of them, so maybe they thought they had one more than we did, but they're just going to hard cast a Ninja. Okay. So I probably just keep the cast down. I don't need to use it now. Offering is a great draw. Let's draw 3. Packdoll is decent. Kind of forgot we had those. Play one of those. Also it triggers Spinner. Drains them for some. Map onto a Refurb. Lurking Lizards. We can put that into the yard as well. Play a Bridge. Trigger the Packdoll. I guess we'll see if we draw anything relevant here. Like another Mirror Enforcer. That, look at this, makes a Spinner, which is going to trigger the Packdoll, and then the Enforcer is going to trigger the Packdoll. And then I think they have 8 blockers, we have 8 attackers. So let's just attack with everything and cast down a Ninja, since they're bigger. That means they have to block with just about everything, and most of our guys are going to either trade or survive. Well, all of our guys are going to trade or survive. And yeah, triple block the Mirror Enforcer. Show it who's boss. Okay, and then they can chump all 3 of these. No. All right. We get there. That was just game 1. That's crazy. All right. Duress and Arms of Hadar. Pretty good. I think that's it. Fangs, not super necessary. Rebuke is okay. Lizards is what the deck's built around, but it does feel worse. The spinners were incredible. Lizards can get bind the monsters or snapped, so they don't feel as good. Maybe we cut just a couple of them and try to go more into like the Packdoll. Seeing as if this gets bind the monster, it doesn't matter that much. If it gets snapped, we just replay it, whereas these lose all their counters. I mean, I could just cut them entirely, then we're less susceptible, and everything else seems really good. I think maybe we'll do that. That makes us a little more mid-range. Obviously, we prefer more spinners here, but hopefully the 2 will be enough. All right, this hand's okay. We really need like a Ichor Wellspring to bring it all together. That means we can use the bargain. That means a Frogmite could be as cheap as 1. Cast down, that puts us on the road to a Mirror Enforcer and also draws us cards to find our blue source, so a little bit of everything. They mulligan to 5, brutal, and no 1-drop. They could have a flash 1-drop, but like an Ilvoy. Nothing so far, and they do. How tricksy of them. If they get a Ninja going, that could be pretty good for their mulligan. They do. They do have an island as well, so they could hold up a Spell Pierce, because I'd like to cast this down. Oof. That's really interesting, because I want to cast this down or play a Frogmite, some way to make it so it doesn't connect. We just got the bridge, which means I could play bridge. Next turn I could spinner Frogmite. I think we're gonna go for that. That means that we're letting this hit. It's not card advantage, it's just card selection at that point. But of course it's unblockable, so if they just have another ninja, that's pretty good. Plus the Gale Blade, like this is kind of what they want from us currently, not doing anything to get out of their mulligan, but if they do just like, if they don't have a counterspell for the spinner, it's just really, really good for us. Fairy Seer, Scry 2, bottom both, swing, and they hit with the hacker, but they don't have another ninja here yet. Discard a Brine Barrow, play an island, so they could have a counterspell, but a fairy spell stutter sprite doesn't do it. Since this is a jellyfish, they steal sabotage our bridge back. Well, that throws everything off. We get another cast down. I'm not just gonna play another bridge and then discard a card now, even though I would like the spinner to go off. They are at 1 card, so like we're not in a bad spot by any means, but pretty annoying that happened. We're just going to cast this down now. I think we're in a very good spot. I just wanted to get the spinner going, and that bouncing makes it feel like it's probably not going to happen at all, at least not for like 2 or 3 more turns. They swing for 2. They do have another ninja. Lucky them. I mean, if they just replay fairies here, I can cast down the ninja and play the bridge, so maybe next turn I can spinner. Oh, they don't play the fairies here, which means they have something. It could be a Spell Pierce, it could be an annul, which would be really annoying. It could be a Steel Sabotage, same type of thing. But we get the Seed of the Synod, so I think we just go for this. And if it resolves, we get a Frogmite, and then guys. But if it doesn't resolve, yep, there's the annul. Then they get to hit with the ninja again, which is pretty good. That Steel Sabotage was brutal. They have a Fairy Seer in hand that we know about, and they don't play it. That means they have 2 counterspells probably, or pieces of interaction in some way. I mean, I'm going to play a Frogmite, and I'm going to hold up these. So we can block with the ninja, or block with the ninja. Okay, they flash in a Gale Blade. So this might be the opportunity to cast down the ninja, but if they have like a Spell Setter, it's pretty bad. I think we'll just pass. We can block the ninja and try to trade, and if they have a Brine Barrow, then we just bargain our guy. Bind the monster. Okay, well, we're gonna let them take their 2, and then I'm gonna bargain this away, see if they want to counter that, and they do. So we're gonna try to kill the ninja. We're at 9. They have another Dispel. Okay, well, they've drawn very, very well. We're at 5. I mean, we're gonna lose this, probably. They've drawn well. We've drawn fine. They've played it pretty well. The Steel Sabotage, like I said, was really good. It's possible we haven't played it as well as we should have, but I don't really know what else we would have done. Well, we're going to play out our creatures. We have blockers for the ninja, but now we're just dead to the flyers in like 2 turns, which is unfortunate. The Fairy Seer, Scribe both to the top. Attack with the flyers. I guess if we rip like an Arms of Hadar and they don't have a counterspell for it, that would be pretty good. That could definitely bring us back into this. We don't. We get a Tree of Tails. All right, we die. I think we just send it back. This will be last game in the league for the positive record, ideally. Whenever our opponent is ready, we will jump into it. We're looking for another hand that has like quick spinner with some cards to follow up that will trigger it. An Arms of Hadar, if we're able to like, you know, bait them into something and then play the arms, could be a really good way to start the game. We'll probably just keep some card advantage. Well, I guess that's the question. Do we just keep a bunch of card advantage? I guess so. If we can just draw more cards than they do, that's a decent way to win the game. And we did cut our Lurking Lizards, which I think is right. But that means we're obviously not going to have as aggressive of a start. So we need to be more okay with just keeping hands that have value, I think. And we do still have a piece of interaction, which is nice. Pass to them. They have a Fairy Seer to start. I could also just kill their Fairy Seer right away so they can't get a ninja down, which isn't a terrible play. Might be what we want to do. Yeah, I think we will. It means they can't Spell Stutter any of our stuff next turn. It means they can't ninja here. If they just want to like, we get a spinner. I'm not just going to run a spinner out into a counterspell. If they want to like counterspell this, then they don't do anything else. If they want to like flash in a guy and then ninja, they're able to do so. I would love to find a duress to punch this spinner through, or I mean, that's the best way to make it resolve. But also just currently it doesn't do anything in our hand. They play a Brine Barrow main phase. That means they have another 1 mind. Yep. And they're looking for like an island plus a Moonscircle Hacker. They just attack and they miss their land drop, which is pretty decent. Okay, I probably just Spinner here. Spinner and Blood Fountain while they're tapped out. Spinner is really good, as we've seen, assuming it sits on the field and we have the cards to trigger it, which we currently don't. But getting it under the counter spell means they're going to have to snap it, If they bind the monster, it still gets its trigger, so that doesn't matter. And then I could have played a tap land, but I think I'd rather use the black mana I have since I only have one, and also get a Blood Fountain also under a counterspell. They didn't have a ninja last turn, at least not right away. They have another of one mind though, that's pretty good. Find their island. They swing with both. I'm not going to block. Even if I block the Brine Barrow and they trade, that's not good for us. Plus, they already have a Spell Stutter Sprite attacking, so it's not like I'm preventing a ninja from coming down anyway. So we'll just take it. Enforcer's good. That triggers this. I think we'll do a Wellspring first, and then just to test the waters, and then probably cast a Enforcer, play our land, and hold up this offering. They sabotage the spinner in response. Interesting. I could have just Enforcered to make sure that didn't happen, and I did think about that, but wasn't really sure they were actually going to do it. But that's fair. Now we don't have the spinner down, which is annoying when we have both of these. I'm going to Offering the Wellspring. They could have a Dispel. That's fine. I'm going to put down one of these to block. Probably just the Mirror Enforcer. Yeah, they Dispel. We'll draw a card. Duress makes it so we can probably get the spinner down next turn. I could just pass then, so that I get an extra flyer next turn, assuming the spinner does get through. Even if I play one of these, they can still ninja with the Spell Stutter Sprite. I think we'll just pass. I guess if they pick up the Spell Stutter Sprite and they can Spell Stutter the Duress and then still hold up like an annul, that's pretty good for them. Swing for 2, and they have the ninja on the Brine Barrow. Okay, so that probably means they have another Spell Stutter in hand, I would guess. Or maybe they want to do another of one mind here. If they don't do that, yeah, I'm going to guess another Spell Stutter. We're going to Duress, try to make way for the spinner. If they have to counterspell this, okay, they do Spell Stutter it, which is decent value for them, but then they're tapped out, so we get to Spinner, Frogmite, and Enforcer, and that's very good value for us. So Duress still did its job, even if it didn't get a 1-for-1. It allowed this to get a much more than a 1-for-1, right? A 3-for-1 right now. Now we have blockers for everything. They do have a Brine Barrow in hand. I'm still just going to block both the Spell Stutters with Thopters if they attack. They play a Harrier Strix to tap one of them down. Okay. Attack with a Hacker too. That's kind of weird. Into an Enforcer unless they have like a Mutagenic Growth. So if I block here and it opens us up to Brine Barrow, which I don't hate. Taps them out a little bit more. We don't have any creatures in our graveyard for the Fountain right now, but I could just take it seeing as they already have the ninja open, and then I can get my Thopter down. I can hold both Thopters next turn. I think we just do this. If they do have a Mutagenic, I'm kind of fine with that trade. Moon Circuit Hacker, the Spell Stutter. I guess if they have double Moon Circuit Hacker here, then it's bad that I didn't block one, but no, just the one. So they have a Spell Stutter and a Brine Barrow in hand that we know about. Play an island, so they Spell Stutters on 2, which means you can get this Wellspring, and we just have a land. So we're going to ditch this. Hopefully find something to bait. Okay. I mean, Frogmite allows this to make another guy. If they don't counterspell that, I'm not going to Wellspring. And I'm just going to attack for a bunch here. I guess they Brine Barrow the Frogmite. It just dies, so that's not good. Yeah, we'll just swing with the Enforcer then. They take 4, looks like. Pass. Flash in the Spell Stutter anyway. I don't think it's going to come down to this, but they also only have about 4 minutes left on time. They've taken about 8 minutes longer than we have, so they do need to move a little bit here. Spinners put us in a pretty good spot, but we also do have 1 card in hand to their 5. Of course, our board's a little bit better. We could still certainly lose this one, but they're going to need a lot more like snaps and bind the monsters and things as opposed to just random Fairy Seers, I think. Although, obviously, Seer can find them those things. But if they just have a bunch of dorks, I'm okay with that. Scry both to the bottom, and they pass. Thoughtcast is pretty good. They played the Spell Stutter we knew about. They still have a Brine Barrow we know about. So I'm going to just play the Wellspring. If they have a counterspell for that, maybe we get Thoughtcast through. If not, we just... they don't have anything, so we draw a card here. Thoughtcast makes another Thopter as well. Even if it gets counterspelled. We'll hold a seat. I'm just going to attack with the Mirror Enforcer. If they want to like Brine Barrow and trade a couple guys for it, I'm fine with that. Otherwise they take 4. I think I'll Thoughtcast. Part of me wants to, like usual, wait until we have something else to play if they do counter this. But we do have a land that we're bluffing that we have something else. Plus we get a guy, and their way of winning is getting around our Thopters, and currently it's going to be harder if we have more of them. Steal, Sabotage this guy in response. Okay, we've already gotten our trigger here, but if we draw more cards that could trigger it, then we can't make them, is their thought. Fair enough. Now I could play Spinner, or I could just play a Refurb, or I could play nothing. Probably just play nothing. We do only have 1 black mana, so maybe we play a Blood Fountain here, but I can only play one of any of these. So if I do play that and then they Spell Stutter it, I still don't get anything else through. I think we'll just pass. Of One Mind is a decent draw for them. They start swinging finally. Well, we have 4 flyers. We know they have a Brine Barrow, but I think I'm just going to block everything. They can't Brine Barrow all of them, unless somehow they have 4 Brine Barrows. That'd be crazy. Here's one. Keep alive the Strix. Otherwise they trade. Okay, I'm good with that. And probably just attack with the Enforcer still. They have 2 guys on the ground, so I'll leave the Frogmites. I'll play Spinner. They can't spell stutter it anymore since they lost all their fairies, but I assume they'll just have a counter spell or an annul for it. They do. Then I'll refurb, see if they have anything for that. And if not, we eat a card, plus we can block the Strix, which is what's happening. Play the Dark Moss Bridge. They did have a spell stutter. Yeah, so them trading off all the fairies was good for us. Of course, they could only save 1, so they wouldn't have had enough to spell stutter the Spinner either way. All right. Well, I think we just attack with everything. If anything dies, we can Blood Fountain both the Spinner and that creature back. Flash in a Gale Blade, probably just to chump the Enforcer and draw a card. Yeah, and gonna take everything else. Fair enough. Sack it. And I'm gonna play a Blood Fountain. That's good. Draw a new card. Get a Frogmite. I'll play that. It blocks. It attacks. So they need to have blockers for everything. Bind the Monster no longer saves them because they just take damage equal to the power. Also, they're at 36 seconds. So looks like we're winning on time and the board as well. They activate Harrier Strix, play another island, and it looks like we're going to win on time. Well, that's a 3-2 for the league. Not too bad for a brew that we just threw together. I mean, I threw it together the other day and I had 1 match with it, but all right. So what did we like about it? Honestly, Lurking Lizards, pretty cool. Of course, it's very susceptible to removal and there's no value if it does die right away, but getting one out early can be really effective against Terror and against other Enforcers, just various things like that. Of course, otherwise we're kind of playing like an Affinity deck that's already pretty decent, and Ethereum Spinner is pretty good too. It was really, really good against fairies, so glad we found those. But we got some more time, so we're gonna just try brewing a new deck, Lizard Prowler. And the cards that I want to brew around are Lurking Lizard, and a card that I've tried making work before, and we're going to try again. And that is... What? I don't have any of it in here? I don't have any at all? Okay, well, I guess we're going to go pick up a couple copies. Bear with me. But there's a similar card to Lurking Lizards that I've tried to brew around before. And one of the reasons I don't think it worked was because there was only 1 copy of this card. Now Lurking Lizards has a similar effect. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I just know it's Prowler. Something. Okay, buddy. Here it is. Storm-Keld Prowler. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, it gets 2 +1/+1 counters. So it's a little worse in many ways. First of all, it has 1 toughness, so it dies to a lot more things, lava darts and stuff. It doesn't have trample, and it has to be 5 mana value or greater, which is tough to make happen. But it gets 2 +1/+1 counters. There's also Sahagin. It's bound to non-creatures. Okay. I don't know that one, so let me check it real quick. Depending on the deck that we brew, non-creatures might be what it ends up. Oh, yeah. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it. So the issue is, it's not if you cast a 4 mana value spell or greater, it's if 4 mana was spent to cast it. So I'm probably going to try a not Affinity deck to make something different, but I'm still going to try to find cards that are reduced in cost, whereas Sahagin actually needs you to pay 4 mana for it. So it's not a bad idea if we can find the right cards for it, and I like that it makes it unblockable, but just the fact that you have to actually spend 4 on it is not great. Is this an Avenging Hunter deck? Well, so we could take it 2 different directions. My initial thought is we're doing kind of a tempo strategy, blue-green tempo, so we'd probably have some things like Spell Pierces or Dispels, some protection spells for our guys, just trying to land a guy, keep it alive, and then win through that. And then obviously we'll need to find our 4 and 5 drops that we can make cheaper to make that work. If that's the case, it would not be an Avenging Hunter deck. However, we could, I suppose, do another idea, which is if we're trying to do like Avenging Hunters or Sahagin would work in this case, would be kind of a turbo deck, right? Where we're actually playing like a bunch of mana ramp and things to ramp into the bigger guys. That sounds like Terror. Exactly. So basically I'm trying to do like a blue-green Terror kind of a thing. To be honest, Terror triggers these. So this could be a blue-green Tolarian Terror deck. That's not a bad idea. Because if we do Serpents and Terrors, those will both trigger these guys. And Lorien is a card that you don't necessarily want to pay for 5, but it is an option. that would also trigger these guys. And some of the cards that I've looked into before, let me bring up, because like I said, I tried to brew this Prowler deck before. I had a couple ideas for it. None of them were great. So but they had cards that were 5 mana that you could pay 1 for or whatever. So as soon as my computer stops lagging. Another brewing idea with a new card. I could imagine the new white Spider-Man working well with fairies, as they don't struggle to get tapped. Together with Core Skyfisher, you could try blue-white fairies. That is not a bad idea. I've definitely thought about blue-white fairies before. It's an idea that came up a little bit in I brewed like an Esper Scam deck a couple weeks ago that was using Spell Stutter Sprite and Core Skyfisher and things like that you're mentioning, but I also used Mold Drifter and Angelic Renewal to get like a scam package going. But part of that was, yeah, I like Skyfisher with fairies, so that's not a bad idea. Spider-Man plus Skyfisher, fairies, and one thing that I think is cool with Spell Stutter Sprite is like Ephemerate, so that's another thing. So that's not a bad idea. Let's try brewing this, and if this just absolutely falls apart, maybe we try doing that blue-white fairies instead, because that does sound pretty sweet. All right, so this is a deck that, to be honest, it was very shortly after I started playing Pauper, about a year and a half ago, that is probably very bad. But these are the cards that I was trying to make work. It was blue-black. Blade Juggler is kind of a Phyrexian Rager, but it's a 5-drop that you can pay for 3 if you've dealt damage to them. I was playing Spinner. Girder Goons, I was trying to make this work, and I had a whole scam deck built around it. It's a 5-drop you can play for 4. Infiltrator Ilkor is a 5-drop you can suspend for 2 turns. That's not great. Dwar Isle Avenger surges, so if you've cast another spell, you can pay 3 to play it. It's not the best. It's not terrible if we have like a lot of cantrips. Of course, if we're doing terrors, these things are not necessary probably. Mirror Shell Crab is something we could spend 7 mana on, or we could use it as a counterspell. Snooping Newsy was just another Guide to Grow. Troll of Khazad-dûm. Wretched Griff is a 7-drop that you can emerge. That's an option. By the way, Spider-Man is a human, so it works with Elvenmind. Ooh, that is a very good point. I do think that sounds pretty sweet. If you have probably still your 8 ninjas, but then you do like 2 or 3 of the Spider-Man, Skyfisher, Ephemerate. What else do you get from white that makes blue better? I mean, some more sideboard options, Dust to Dust and Thraben Charms and stuff. Yeah, that sounds sweet. Spinning Darkness is a 6-drop that you can cast for 0. Whiplash Trap is a fun one. If an opponent has 2 or more creatures enter the battlefield under their control this turn, you may pay blue rather than pay Whiplash Trap's cost. Return 2 creatures to their owner's hand. I'm sure you could do some warp stuff here. Yes, very good point. This was definitely all brewed before warp. Perigee Beckoner is a 5-drop. It is black, so I will say if we're trying to do like a tempo kind of strategy, then I would want to keep it to 2 colors. So Beckoner would probably not fit there, but yeah, let's look at the other warp stuff in Pauper. Germinating Worm, Mechanozoa, Starbreach Whale. None of those seem very effective to me. Fairies with white interaction sounds great. Yeah, no, I agree. Thraben Charm would be real nice to have some actual removal and some graveyard removal. You could even have some like Journey to Nowheres if you wanted some more harder removal, as opposed to having to use like Bind the Monsters and stuff. Damn, I remember Wretched Griff. Wretched Griff remembers me of my first Pauper deck, which was a Sultai Sack Brew with Fierce Empath into Griff and Unearth to bring it back. That sounds really sweet. Wretched Griff was a card that I played in the Girder Goons Scam deck from my very first Pauper video last year, because you can blitz a Girder Goons for 4 mana, and then you can Wretched Griff for 1 mana off of that. And if you also do a, Not Dead After All or Supernatural Stamina on your Girder Goons, then it will come back, re-trigger everything, and then it's tons of value. What if you did a Terror build with Cash Grab? Okay. Cash Grab mills us for 4, so that's a good start. So I like that. My concern, if I remember, is it's put a permanent card from among the milled cards into your hand. So same with like Malevolent Rumble, which mills 4. Obviously, this is an instant. The squirrel text we can just omit. But if we're playing Terror, Serpent, Prowler, and Lizards, that is 16 creatures if we're doing all of those. And then we're obviously going to have lands. So the chances that we hit a permanent in 4 cards is pretty high. But it is possible to whiff if we have 30 spells, which we need to have 30 spells for terrors. Also, we need to have probably more than just terrors to trigger these. So we're going to have to, we can't just play like a blue terror deck with these guys, right? We have to have, I would say, 16 cards that can trigger these at least. So if we do terrors, Lorien technically can trigger it, but I'm saying like a Whiplash Trap and Like, this is not a great card by any means, but it's an okay card to have, like, as a one-of. And if we can trap them ever, like, people do play 2 creatures a lot, but there are definitely going to be a lot of times where it's 5 mana, and that's going to be pretty rough. Will of the Naga is another one. It delves, so if we're filling our graveyard, that works well. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So, you know, if we're doing tempo, it works pretty well. Oh, you know what we would do, though? Hooting Mandrills just wants us to fill our graveyard at all. It doesn't care if it's with spells. And this is a 6-drop that would trigger these both. Okay. Is there another Delve guy in blue or black? Another Delve creature like this? Or not blue-black, because obviously I know there's more in black. In blue-green. No, there's not. Not in Pauper. There's, of course, Gurmag Angler. There's a couple other black ones, but I guess black-green. But then we lose out on the Prowler. I don't have to use the Prowler. We just need 2 guys to do some of this. Convoke. Yeah, let's bring this up on here as well. Yeah, generally what I like to do when I'm brewing a deck like this, in case people are curious, is I look for legal Pauper. I use Scryfall because it's the best source. And then we just look for abilities that I know will make you have expensive creatures. So we can look at a Convoke. Generous Ent, Muldrifter. Great suggestions. Both of those are less on the tempo side, I would say, but they're still very good cards. And like, yeah, Muldrifter you can play for 3. Generous Ent, of course, it's just a land drop that can turn into something. We can also look for some of these abilities have different text, but like we can do like costs less. That doesn't work. It pulls up Cascade. All right, let's look for Affinity here and look at the text of Affinity. The spell costs blank less. That's why. Adventure cards, Drix Faymaker. Adventure cards are not a bad idea because you can adventure on one half and then you can play the other half. It's not actually going to be reducing the cost of that more expensive side, so it might be tough. Drix Faymaker. What is that? I'm not seeing that. Drix Fatemaker. Warp. Lancers put a +1/+1 counter on each target creature, and they get trample. It's not bad. I would say we're really trying to look for things that are going to trigger both of these. So we really want 5-drop or more, ideally. Oh, sorry, I missed this comment before by Alzheimer. Could also go Sultai. Snuff Out and Angler work well with 2-drops. With the 2-drops, probably too few black cards for Spinning Darkness. Yeah, so I mentioned before, I'd probably like to keep it 2 colors if we want it to be... I mean, we're brewing a deck that's not going to be amazing, but like to keep it competitive, 3 colors is just going to make us too slow, I think, for us to be able to do that. But yeah, there are a lot of black cards that I kind of want to fit in. The 4 to 5 jump is kind of rough. I agree. That's why I think Lizards is a lot better and Prowler hasn't worked, is because the Snuff Out is a great one to trigger Lizards, but it doesn't trigger Prowler. And then, yeah, there's a lot of refurb and things like that, right? There's a lot of things like that that is pretty tough to make work. So if we only go 2 colors and we say, okay, well, let's just do Lizards and go blue, black, green, we could do that, actually. We could cut Prowler and we could go black, green and do like Gurmags and Mandrills. Not necessarily the most unique thing ever if we do kind of a black, green delve deck, but the Lizards adds something unique to it where those trigger this. And Snuff Outs works with this too. That could be kind of cool. We lean away from doing just, casting big things, but it's just another threat with Mandrills and Gurmags. Green-black gives access to Grizzly Salvage. That's true. That's a good one. All right, let's put this aside for now, and let's see what a green-black version looks like. Grizzly Salvage. I still think we need a couple more cards that are going to cost at least 4 or more. Oh, come on. I have a Grizzly Salvage, right? Maybe I don't. Yeah, but we can do Grizzly Salvage. That's right there. Okay. I generally like the oldest set symbol, and there's no, there should be Return to Ravnica, right? I guess it doesn't. All right. So I guess, yeah, Lurking, Snuff Out, Hooting Mandrills, Gurmag, that's 12. Can we fit anything else in here? Do split cards still check the CMC of both? They count as the CMC of both in every zone except for the stack. So in your hand or in your graveyard, it's going to be a 6-drop or whatever. Like Fire and Ice would be a 4-drop. However, Lurking Lizards is going to care when it's on the stack. So it's not going to work for this guy. So if you cast a Fire, it's only going to be a 2-drop, and it's not going to trigger this. I guess this is not the version I have. All right, so Snuff Outs, Hooting Mandrills, Gurmag. And of course, let me bring this back to 1. So then we're going to need more ways to fill our graveyard. So we're going to want probably Cash Grab's not bad. Malevolent Rumble might be better, but if we want more of that effect, we might do Cash Grab. Malevolent Rumble, yep, you are same page as me. Definitely Rumble's going to be our best one here. If we have enough black spells, which currently we don't, but if we get there, then we could put in a couple Spinning Darkness. Let's just put in some basics while we're making this work. Certainly we could do, oh, you know, I don't know if this is going to work, but Dread Return is a 4-drop, and if we mill it, that works, but we need to have a lot of creatures other than just our guys here. So that would mean we'd need like Colony Garden and Satyr Wayfinder, which maybe if we're playing those anyway for the mill, it's not bad. I don't want to turn this fully into a dredge deck, so we're not going to be putting in Stinkweed Imp. But a couple Dread Returns could trigger these, brings back these guys. It's not terrible. Oh, you know what we could do is Chitin Gravestalker, which means we're going to want a higher density of creatures, but we're already going to want that. Chitin Gravestalker, 5/4, it costs 1 less for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard, and it has cycling. I think this would be a good one, since we need more threats, more guys that are more expensive, and then by milling, we're going to make this really cheap. In which case, okay, we are turning a little bit more dread. So I made a list a couple months ago, I guess when Ether Drift came out, so about 6 months ago, that was, I dubbed it mid-range dredge. It was much more like an aggro dredge. But it was basically the dredge list you know and love, except instead of doing the combo, it was Gravestalker and Writhing Necromass and things that get reduced for the creatures in your graveyard, and then we, attack with them and we get in for lethal. So I think moving a little bit more that way is not a bad idea. And with that Dragonfire, seeing as we have all of these guys, this could be too many Delve spells for the record. I might need to cut a couple like Mandrels or something. It's not Dragonfire. It's Dragon Breath. Can give haste to any of these guys if we mill it. Here it is. Enchanted creature has haste. When a creature with mana value 6 or greater enters the battlefield, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to that creature. So this works with all of them. I think this is probably just going to be like a one of. Chitin Gravestalker counts artifacts and creatures in your grave, so it's actually a reason to play. Even though we have no other artifact synergies, we're not going to have any others. It's a reason to play Tree of Tales and Vault of Whispers. Although with Snuff Out, that's a reason to not play those. I don't think this is relevant, but another creature that costs less is Fungal Colossus. Nothing wrong with pointing that out. Fungal Colossus costs 1 less for each differently named creature, land you control. So I don't think that's probably going to work here, because I don't envision we're going to have enough different lands, but that is a good idea. If we were playing if we did do another 3-color deck, kind of like the Affinity deck, that could be a one to put in there. But I think with 2 colors that we're really trying to do, it's probably not going to be relevant, but not a bad suggestion. I guess we might as well... Again, we're not going to do actual dredge, but this list does look like we could maybe play Troll of Khazad-dûm and Exhume as a package. Satyr Wayfinder, Town Greeter for more mill. The Gravestalker also needs creatures. Yes. Yeah, we put in these Rumbles and these Cash Grabs, but now that we're moving more creature-wise, we probably should be doing Satyr Wayfinder instead. And yeah, probably Town Greeter. So we might actually be doing these instead of Grizzly Salvage and stuff. We're still trying to delve. I'm going to cut this. Yeah, I mean, whenever I'm brewing a deck, of course you want to put in good cards, and then that ends up eventually maybe being a little too close to other decks where it's oh, we're basically just this deck, but worse. And there's nothing wrong with putting good cards in your deck, especially your brews, but I'm a little worried that, yeah, if we do all of this, it is becoming very much dredge, which is fine. If I want to say, oh, let me put lizards into the dredge deck, that's not a bad idea. I'm just worried it's going to become a little bit too much like that. But yeah, maybe we cut the Grizzly Salvage. Well, it's not Affinity. That is true. It's something different. I don't mind doing something different. If I'm brewing a deck from scratch and it becomes, oh, I'm actually just doing a variation of this other deck, that's fine. You just need to be aware of it and not be well, I'm brewing a whole new deck, just know what you're doing, I think is important. Yeah, so I'm trying to think. Because we could just do Gravestalker and we could go Writhing Necromass, which is basically just another Gravestalker but worse. Because it's an extra mana and it doesn't have cycling and doesn't count artifacts, but it does have Death Touch. So we could do a bunch of these, but then we are just very much the dredge mid-range deck. Well, Fungal Colossus. Yeah, I still don't think Fungal Colossus is probably fitting in here at the moment. Okay, I think I am feeling Maybe we want to not lean into the dredge kind of cards. I'm just feeling like maybe I do want to do the delve stuff. I think a little bit more than the dredge type cards. So let's put these to the side for now. So what other things work with the delve? Obviously the same types of cards, milling cards, but it's not about keeping cards in our graveyard is the thing. So we still want more things to trigger the lizards then. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater. I mean, there's this really funny card that gets triggered by that. Pulling up a million different Scryfall things. Alright, so we're back here. Legal Pauper. So I'm going to look for cast without paying mana cost. Which might not perfectly work because sometimes the wording is rather than paying the mana cost. But I'm just going to look for any cards that have this text. Sorting by mana value. We are going to do descending though, because I want to look at the more expensive ones first. Alright, so these are letting us cast other things. Suspend is an option. Cascade. More suspend. Plot. Cipher. Ooh. I mean, we have to pay the 5 mana the first time, but then we get to cast it for free after that. That doesn't seem very good. And yeah, plot. And now we're under 4 drops. All right, let's do cast rather than paying its mana cost. The same stuff. Suspend. Where's the guy? There's a specific card that I'm looking for. 5 life. Sky Shroud Cutter. So if you control a forest, rather than pay this spell's mana cost, you may have each opponent gain 5 life. And that's just a free 2/2, which would trigger our guy. However, if we're playing a tempo deck, giving our opponent 5 life is not really where we want to be at. So probably not the best. Well, what are we doing then? Oh, I got a little sidetracked. Let's look at Affinity again. It's about costs. So we'll do Legal Pauper. Costs less. Yeah, we can just do that. Try to look at every card that mentions being costing less. By the mana value and descending. I'm sure this is... I hope this is interesting for people. But if not, what are you going to do? I mean, this is how you brew a deck, you know? Domain. Cost 1 less for each basic land type. And there's the Fungal Colossus there. Brian Giant. Cost access less for access the greatest power among creatures you control. This is always an interesting one. It's just really bad because if you don't have any creatures, it's an 8-drop. You could pair the Lizard with Whale Retraction Helix combo. Pact Altera is probably just better. Yeah. You definitely could, and that is just a win con right there. Although, actually, Whale Retraction Helix, I guess you could do it with like a Frogmite, right? I've usually seen it with like a Tooth of Chiscoria or whatever, which is a 3-drop, which wouldn't trigger the lizards, but yeah, Frogmite would work too. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Someone could try that for sure. I'm not the biggest combo player, so I'm probably not going to be the one to do it. Combat. Okay, so we have Affinity for Forests. So if we were playing mono green, on turn 4, this would be 3 mana for a 5/4 that triggers it. That's not great. Seagate Colossus costs 1 less for each card in our party. This is a Lizard Villain. That's not going to be in the party. Cost less. Salt Road Pack Beast if we went wide. Party again. Affinity for Swamps. Overwhelming Remorse costs 1 less for each creature card in our graveyard. I mean, if we want more than just Snuff Outs, this could be additional copies, kind of. Obviously still worse, but... Ooh, Bone Picker. That's an interesting idea. Now we need to be in, like, a sacrifice deck. But I guess with Snuff Outs, Bone Picker kind of works. That is interesting. Probably also go into a red-green ramp shell with Chrysalis and Cascade. Yeah, I do think that a little... Yeah, like an easy way to do it would just be throw a couple of them into Gruul monsters would probably be fine. I do think people could try that, and that would be pretty interesting. Chrysalis is great. Cascade's great. Cascade could trigger it twice. Search Party Captain with the Pack Road Beast. Salt Road Pack Beast. Cumulative upkeep. Alright, we're getting to the end. These are 3 drops. Okay. I mean, Bone Picker interests me. Acid Moss is also 4 mana. Yep. Yeah. Doing it in Ponza. Be pretty good. I think there's probably something there. So, Bone Picker. I don't know. Bone Picker is always a card that I've tried a few times in Black Sack. People like it there, but I'm not a big fan. But it does kind of interest me here because it triggers the lizards. It doesn't exactly go with like Delve, but if we just have a lot of ways to sacrifice our creatures, it could work. So we need to be able to make it 1 mana. But if we do like lizards on turn 2, play a Bone Picker or 2 on turn 3, like we snuff out to trigger the lizards, then we Bone Picker, like that's pretty good. But we would need ways to do that. I guess Rumble is a creature we can sacrifice. If we do Wayfinders and Town Greeters, and then we do put in a couple like Dread Return, That's another way to sacrifice things. Not sure this is the best idea ever. I guess Dread Return goes here. And then I guess Colony Garden. Probably. I can take out the artifact lands since we took out the Gravestalkers. And at least a Haunted Mire. Probably put in some Trolls of Khazad-dûm. And I mean, if we're gonna do Bone Picker, we probably need like some ways to sacrifice these random creatures for draw, like Fanatical Offering. Reckoner's Bargain with these guys, I guess, could be kind of interesting. This is kind of like crossing archetypes a little bit. Not that we can't do it by any means, but like Bargain is just very traditionally in your black control or your affinity lists, and it doesn't make as much sense here in general. But like we have really expensive guys, so gaining life off of those could be good. Plus having ways to sacrifice these guys for Bone Pickers is decent. I don't know. This Bone Picker theme, if I'm being honest, probably feels a little thin. But I do, like, Bone Picker is just one of the ones I'm more excited about to cast with Lizards, because they're both, like, aggressive creatures. Bone Picker triggers the Lizards. I don't know. What are we missing here? We could have some protection if I wanted, like, Tamiyo's Safekeeping or Snakeskin's Veil or something. Vines of Vastwood, maybe. This guy's got Trample, this guy's got Trample, this guy doesn't. So I was like, oh, maybe a Rancor. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think we need a Rancor. We have ways to find lands. What other cards just give us benefits for being milled? I guess this is probably enough cards we can maybe put in like a Spinning Darkness or two, which is more cards to trigger the Lizards. It can help with the Bone Picker. Dragon Fang's one off. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Does give Trample to the Gurmag. I think since our Mandrills and our Lizards already have Trample, Bone Picker has Flying, and Troll, maybe comes up, but I think maybe we don't need the Trample. We'll just hopefully have enough removal for these guys that I think we probably don't need it for now. It also only automatically comes back to these, or I guess these guys. So yeah, couple Spinning Darkness. All right, let's look up like a Golgari Delve Pauper list, because I feel like we're kind of onto something, but I want to make sure I'm not missing any major cards. But otherwise, I'm getting pretty close to the end, I think, of this list. So if people have more suggestions, let me know now. Well, we have some interaction. We have a little bit of card draw. Playing the Trolls. I guess I could just try to lower our land count as much as possible, which probably makes sense, and put some more generous Ents in here. We'll put some generous Ents, in which case we're not full dredge, but we could still go for Exhume if we have like 8 of these guys. Dread Return, I don't even know if this is really necessary. We have 16 ways to make little creatures, plus it gives the Lizards something to do if they're like drawn late. If we play all 4 of these, how many of these can I get rid of? 1, 2, 3, 4, so 16 green spells for 2 mana. Probably need some more green than black. Currently we're at 8 and 8. Can I go to 14 lands if I have 8 cyclers? That seems like a lot. Hello, please stop screaming at me. We just need Become Immense to be in the format. That'd be really good. +6/+6. It triggers the Lizards. Be strong. 14 lands feels low, but also we have 8 of these, and we have Wayfinders, Town Greeters, and Rumbles, although I'm probably about to cut a couple Town Greeters, because I think this is a little too many of this effect. Rumble is not a creature, but we cut all the things that made that relevant, and so it's a way to sacrifice a creature to get Bone Picker off. It's a mana, so this one's actually just better. Maybe we don't need the Town Greeters at all. And then we cut... I don't know if this is too many Delve creatures. Feels like it might be. Maybe we cut one of them. I don't know if Gurmag is better or worse than Mandrills. Trample's pretty good, but 5/5's pretty good. I guess we'll cut a Mandrills. 6. I don't know. I'm thinking we might try this. These are all the cards we cut. I think we're just gonna get rid of them for now. Also, definitely if you really want to brew a deck, keep that idea in the back of your head, but don't, let a brew go where it needs to go. Because I really wanted to try Stormkelp Prowler, and then it turned into this deck. Prowler, maybe I'll brew it again later. But I don't know. I think there's something to this, maybe. Let's build out the sideboard. For Artifact and Enchantment Hate, we are going to want Masked Vandal, I believe. It is a creature, which is good for our deck. But also it cares about creatures in our graveyard, which our deck already does pretty well, so I think Vandal's the right call here. We are going to want some sort of board clear. We play little creatures, so Drown in Sorrow is probably not what we need, so we probably want Arms of Hadar or Suffocating Fumes. We already placed some Snuff Outs and stuff, so I'm going to say Arms of Hadar, since we already have some cheap removal to remove the first couple threats. Maybe arms would be, we can get to arms against like an elves or something. Say 2 of those. We want graveyard hate. We are a graveyard deck, so we're not going to want relic. So we're going to want Nile Spellbomb probably. We could go with a Fairy Macabre, but I think Spellbomb's just a little more all-encompassing. We could also go for a Crypt Incursion. Sideboard, we don't need 4, probably 2 or 3. Against Burn, we're going to want life gain, so we're going to do Gnaw to the Bone, because we have a lot of creatures, and Mill. I think that makes sense. And we're at 12 cards. What are we missing? Hand Attack, probably just some Duress. Alright, well, I think this is the deck we built. It is, let's change this name, because it's not Lizard Prowler anymore. It's Golgari Lizards. Any crucial last suggestions before we take it for a spin? See if we can get any wins with this deck? Any terrible cards that I put in that you really don't want me to see me play? Because if not, we are off. Alright, let's see if we can get any wins, ideally a positive record, with this list. Well, classic no-lander with a couple Swamp Cyclers. Gonna have to throw this back. Now we have the Lizards, we have lands. Probably put back a Gurmag and hope we get like a Wayfinder into the bargain. More blue, as is the custom. Thought Scour. And Thought Scour is Spell Stutter Sprite. Okay, yep. So they are Dimir Terror with fairies, it appears. Gonna pull out just a basic forest. Dread Return. We're gonna play a Lizards, and they Brainstorm. Modern Age. Well, Spellstutter in Modern Age makes me think it's more like Dimir Control, but they Thought Scour, so I assume there's gotta be Terrors, but I could be wrong about that. Our hand is a little awkward. Oh, I am realizing if I put in Reckoner's Bargains, I probably should have put in a couple artifact lands so we could sacrifice them. I don't know if that's true, though, because we have Snuff Outs that want swamps, and we have Colony Gardens, so I need to have a few basic forests for the generous sense, so maybe not the case, but hand is a little awkward for sure. I guess if I had picked up just Mystic, brutal. If I had picked up my Haunted Mire before, then I could Dread Return right now. I could bargain away my Lizards, but they're kind of the reason we're here. I guess if I do that, I could then get a Gurmag down, which doesn't die to Snuff Out. And if I don't do anything this next turn, really. I think we have to. Also, we need to draw a Snuff Out ideally for this, so I don't love doing that by any means. And Trolls are not great. Malevolent Rumble does let us get down Gurmag. Maybe also Mandrills if we get an untapped green. Well, let's Rumble. We do get an untapped green. We miss out on a Snuff Out. Let's just get a forest. Oh wait, I can't play both because of Delve. I was thinking it was like a terror thing. What am I talking about? I can only play one of these, so I might as well play the 5/5 and pass. Next turn I can play a Troll. I mean, maybe we can get there because Gurmag and Troll can't be... They have another Mystic? Okay, Deep Analysis. Because they can't be snuffed out. But they'll find cast downs, plus they get birds to chump here. Attack for 5. I take it. I'm just gonna hard cast a Troll. Flashback Deep Analysis. Okay. I can also cycle Troll Dread Return next turn. Swing for 2. They're discarding a card. Snacker. Play a swamp. We're going to swing. I think my goal is to not play a non-black creature at all. I don't think they know how Troll of Khazad-dûm works, because they cannot block it with 1 bird. They would need 3. They don't have a cast down, clearly. They probably have a counter spell, so if I cast a Troll, they just counter it. Same with the Mandrills. I could cast Mandrills, and maybe they, like, I guess Snuff Out they can't really use now anyway. They could, but they'd go to 1. But, yeah, I'm thinking, like, I'll Mandrills and hold up Reckoner's Bargain, and if they counter it, so be it. But if they just like let it go and then kill it, then I can bargain it away. But yeah, they counterspell. Maybe casting anything when we have a Troll that's lethal is probably bad, because now it gives them blockers, and if they don't have enough blockers, they have to block with the Mystic, and that's good for us. Brainstorm brings back the Snacker. Cycle Alorian. Swing with the Mystic. Okay. I mean, Lizards is something. We're just gonna attack. They have a cast down for the Troll. Yep. So I'm gonna bargain it. Gain 6, draw 2, and then Gurmag, they could just block with a bunch to kill it. They just chump. Interesting. Okay, so I could just Dread Return Troll. Pretty enticing, but I could also put 2 Lizards down, which grow next turn if I play like Dread Return. If I ever find like a Snuff Out, it could be good. I think we'll play 2 Lizards and hope that they can come through. They have a Terror. Makes sense. Now they just go crazy, attack with everything. I guess if they have a couple counter spells, it's probably fine. Generous Ent. Let's Rumble. Hooting Mandrills. I guess we take that and cast it. Triggers the Lizards. If they want a counterspell, then I can Dread Return. Ideally, they don't have a counterspell for both, although they might. There's a counterspell. Dread Return the Troll of Khazad-dûm. Triggers these again. I'll swing with the Gurmag. It either trades with the Terror Well, I guess if they have an Unexpected Fangs, it's pretty bad to attack here. But in my thought, it either trades with a terror or it eats a bird. But in retrospect, maybe not the smartest if there was a Fangs. They have a cast down for the troll. No, a lizard. Okay. Probably because trample's the thing they're scared about. Lorien revealed. Draws them a bunch. I feel like every time in the last 3 days that my opponents played a Murmuring Mystic, all of my removal just ceases to exist. We've milled through a Snuff Out, but we've got a couple others as well. They do have a Fangs. They throw it on a Snacker. They are tapped out, if that is relevant. Bone Picker does trigger this, but there's no way I can play it. I guess Generous Ent blocks, but then we take 8. Maybe that keeps us alive. They probably have a removal spell for it. I guess they have to block this, or maybe they just chump here. I think it's got to be a Generous Ent here. Triggered the Lizards. See, if I attack with the Lizards, they can block here. If we had a Snuff Out, we could really get them, but that's not gonna probably happen. Maybe they don't risk it. I think we attack with everything, just in case. I mean, this means they have to block. Maybe they block here and here with a bird. They have a Snuff Out. Oh, they went up to 8 life, so they can just Snuff Out. Yeah, fair enough. See, they're getting their Snuff Outs. We're not getting ours. Triple block the troll and trade the terror. I was hoping the Mystic would have to block there. Apparently not. And we'll pass. Mystic might be decent in the blue-green version. Yeah, could be. It is a 4-drop, so it triggers the Lizards. And if it's just mostly spells, it seems reasonable. I agree. They're just swinging with these. I mean, I'll block the Lifelinker. It's more damage, and I know Snacker can come back, but I'd rather the Lifelink goes away. Hacker. What is this deck? I was not expecting Hacker. I guess maybe I should have because they had Spellstutter Sprite. I guess it's a mashup of Dimir Fairies and Dimir Terror and Dimir Control. That's like all of them. I don't know how it works, but it is working, I suppose. Bring back a Snacker. They also discard another one. There's a Spinning Darkness. I mean, that's something, finally. Although we have only one creature. There are 2 black cards in our graveyard. I could put the Troll into our graveyard, but my goal was to hopefully Spinning Darkness, Bone Picker, and Troll, and that's not going to happen. If they have nothing at all, oh, let's see, I know they bounced the Modern Age, they replayed it. Like, if they have nothing at all, I could Spinning Darkness a bird here, and they would have to block with the Mystic. No, because they can just take 5 from the Generous Ent. They don't have to do that at all. Well, we will attack. Maybe I should leave the Ent back, but we are not. Block everything, and I guess I'll just cast another Troll. If they counterspell this, I can Spinning Darkness the Hacker, or a bird, I guess, but I think we'll take out the Hacker, which I guess I might as well do in their upkeep, or if they tap out here, which they do with the Spell Stutter, which means if they have another Ninja, no, this would be lethal right here. So let's just kill the Hacker, because they are doing this just to get lethal. Maybe that'll be our saving grace, is that they spent a Spell Stutter when it didn't actually do what they wanted it to. Now that we're up to 10, a swing for 3. And Deep Analysis, bring back the Snacker, Island, another Modern Age, bin a Spell Stutter, so they got something better than a Spell Stutter. Looks like a Cast Down or something, or a Gurmag of their own. Terror, okay. They have no creatures. If there was a way we could remove one of these, we could get in with the Troll. I guess that's not lethal. We can't anyway. We can play Gurmag for 2, Bone Picker, and then food. Alright, we're going to attack with the Troll. Going to leave the Generous Ent back. They're going to block with everything. I guess Snacker is not necessarily going to come back next turn. So they have another Deep Analysis in their yard, which they don't at the moment. I guess we'll kill the Snacker because it is better against the Bone Picker. Play Bone Picker, and I don't think I'm going to need the food token this turn, so I'm just going to preserve cards in our graveyard in case we get another Delver. Another delve creature. I mean, we still have a way to win this, which is, I mean, just not die and then keep attacking with our guys, but they are potentially gonna get there. They top deck a Lorien revealed. Oh my gosh. My opponent's always top decking exactly what they need at every moment. Please stop. They attack with 3 guys. They're going to lose 2 of them, but I guess it's worth it to get in a Ninja. Or they're going to cast down the Generous Ent in response. We still have a Bone Picker, but fair enough. Ninja, a bird. Colony Guard. 1, 2. Okay, we're going to die. Well, it was kind of close for a while. I could not find a removal spell for the Mystic. I mean, Arms of Hadar honestly doesn't look terrible here. Usually I would think it's crazy, but they have Snackers, Spell Stutters, Moon Circuit Hackers, as well as Murmuring Mystic. They also have Terrors, Deep Analysis, Snackers, so spell bombs come in. I don't know if Arms of Hadar is worth it, but it's not terrible. Spinning Darkness is good against Spell Stutter, I suppose. Probably don't need this Dread Return. Early Exhume could be good for a Troll. I don't know. Our deck worked decently. Bone Picker blocks not too badly. I guess I want to cut some of the guys that died a Snuff Out in case they keep those in. Sure. Turn 1 cycle Troll for a Haunted Mire. No, we can cycle a Generous Ent. Okay, I was going to say that's pretty slow, but then we can cycle the Ent, which means we can then get Rumble or Wayfinder going, which means we can do a Bone Picker on like turn 3 off the spawn maybe. All right, play a Swamp and pass. Cycle a Generous Ent for a Forest. We got the Exhume. Unfortunately, we did not do Troll, which means Generous Ent gets blocked easier. I think we just go for the Exhume on the Troll next turn, because I think that's just so much better. That let's just Rumble here. They Thought Scour, hit a Lorien Revealed. We get a Lizards or a Spell Bomb. Well, next turn, we can not only Exhume a Troll, we can also play a Bone Picker. So I think that's our win con. So I think we just take this Spell Bomb. And I could play it right now, but that prevents us from being able to Exhume and Bone Picker. They play a Snacker. Nice that they tapped out for us. Another Exhume. We are going to cycle this Troll for a Swamp, play a Swamp, crack this Spawn for an Exhume, bring back a Troll, and then because we cracked the Spawn, we're going to play a Bone Picker. That seems pretty good. Now, maybe because they have the Snacker, the Bone Picker wasn't actually the right call. Maybe I should have just Spellbombed, but Chainer's Edict. Well, maybe I'm glad that I have the Bone Picker around. I'm quite happy, actually, about that now. Let's just attack for 6. And I think we just Wayfinder. If we hit, like, another Troll and we get a land off the Wayfinder, then I could Exhume again. Or we could maybe just play a Spell Bomb. Or I could not get greedy and I could just Exhume now. They Thought Scour in response. Deep Analysis Snacker. Well, I probably want a Spell Bomb. We hit a Lizards, Forest. I haven't played a land, so yeah, let me grab the Forest so I can play that and just crack this Spellbomb right now before they can use their Deep Analysis or their Chainer's Edict, although that's way more mana, or get their Snacker back with a Brainstorm. And we have a Wayfinder in case they have another Edict. Thought Scour, Brainstorm, swing for 2, and they got the Ninja, Hacker, Modern Age, discards the Snacker probably. Indeed. Okay, so I get to attack for 7. I can Duress them, and I can also Exhume and Wayfinder. They have a Fangs and a Counterspell. I think Fangs is the way they maybe get back into this. No, this Terror's not coming down. If they want a Fangs on a Snack or whatever, that's fine. We'll get the Counterspell. Wayfinder finds a nothing relevant, because we already had a Generous Ent in our yard. Exhume does let them bring back the Snacker, and it just gets like a Generous Ent for us. Actually, I guess the Hooting Mandrills is probably better, because they have jump blockers, but yeah, let's get back Hooting Mandrills, so it was relevant. So now they need 3 blockers for the Troll, they need something for the Mandrills, plus currently the Wayfinders can just attack in for free. So looks like we're doing okay here. Discard another Snacker, and they need something for this Troll pretty badly. Well, they got a Terror. They need something else though, because they have to block Troll with 3 guys, which means this is 6. I guess that doesn't kill them. Or they could block, and this doesn't kill them either. Well, either way, we're going to swing with everybody. They probably go block the Mandrills, block, yeah, the Wayfinders. But I'm going to bargain the Mandrills, so we'll gain 6, draw 2. More bargains. I could trade for Wayfinders, but these are blockers. I think I'd rather just let those trade, because it makes it harder for them to block the Troll. And then get a Bone Picker down and hold up a bargain. Cycle a Lorien. Modern Age is going to flip into a blocker for the Bone Picker, but that means they still need 2 more blockers. Or a removal spell. There's a Terror. Malevolent Rumble. Let's attack with the team. Triple block the Troll. Okay, Fangs on the Terror, which we knew about the Fangs. But we can bargain away the Troll so that we just hit with the Bone Picker and they don't gain any life, because they don't deal any damage. And that'll be lethal. Plus we get a Bone Picker we can play and hold up a Spinning Darkness. That was pretty cool. If they had the Fangs, which we knew they had the Fangs, they probably should have just attacked with the Terror so that, and then done that so that they could have not died. I don't know. All right, let's try to win the match, shall we? All right, we have Snuff Out and Spinning Darkness. Rumble is going to be a little late, and we have a Spell Bomb. It's not the best. In fact, it's maybe not very good. But Troll means an Exhume is a good draw off the top. We have both our colors, if a little slowly. Garden makes it so we can actually just Rumble next turn. And Spellbomb means that we can hold them off from doing their stuff. So, seems okay. They have a Spellbomb. Well, that's just not fair. Exhume plan is offline. We will just Rumble. And I'll just take a Hooting Mandrills. So they're going to be forced to, if they don't want the Mandrills to come down, like next turn, they have to Spellbomb preemptively, which would be fine. They probably won't care about it because they'll have cast downs or whatever, but still. Exhume. Well, they could have a counterspell, but I could Exhume, and then if they Spellbomb in response, then I just cycle a Troll, and I still get my Troll. They could just counterspell that, but that's fine. That's just a 1-for-1. So yeah, Let's exhume. They thought scour themselves to see if they can hit something. They hit a terror. Well, that's lucky. I mean, you know, they have a good amount of creatures, but that is the best creature to hit. They spell bomb and pay for the black to draw a card, exile our graveyard, then I'm going to cycle troll to get a swamp, then we will exhume. I could have played my spellbomb first. I didn't really expect the thought scour, to be fair, but maybe it is something I should have considered. We can snuff this out. It's not the end of the world, but, you know, it costs 2 mana, and then if they have a counter spell, it's kind of annoying, but we still got a much better creature than they did. They thought scour, fangs, and a counter spell. They're going to attack. I guess happy to trade, seeing as they can't block. That makes sense. I'll just take it. If they have like a fangs, so be it. Then I just get to snuff it out. Gurmag, swing for 6, rumble, and we find a troll. So it's 5 cards in grave. So I could play Gurmag for 2. And yeah, we'll leave up a black in case I want to like spell bomb here. Play Gurmag, see if they want to counterspell. If so, I could like snuff out their terror. Or I could just spell bomb them so they can't get another terror down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's probably better. Yeah, let's just spell bomb them. Draw a card. We get a Wayfinder. We'll pass. Currently, our 1 troll versus their terror is very good for us. So as long as they don't have more terrors, it's probably fine. Murmuring Mystic is currently fine because I have the snuff out. So we're going to be good. That was a cool little turn there. Fun graveyard stack. Yeah, it was really sweet. The exhume with their spell bomb, then their thought scour, all of that. I assume that was the turn you were talking about. This turn was cool too. So we just get to kill the Mystic, which I should just do now because they could have a snuff out to like hit the plant to make a bird. So just so I know about it, let's just do that. All right, so we can attack for 6, and I could Wayfinder, but I could actually just Mandrills here. I kind of want to build up mana to get more trolls down, so I think we're going to play Wayfinder. Hope we find a forest, perfect, so that we can also get a Mandrills down. And then I'll just pay this, take out non-black cards and non-creature cards. Cool. Currently, Hooting Mandrills doesn't look great against Terror, but I could Spinning Darkness the Terror in response to the block, which would mean that we would trade, but also I'd trample over for some damage. They cycle Alorian for an island. Their first non-contaminated aquifer land. Thought Scour, Snacker, and Alorian. Cast down the Troll. Rude. We get Lizards. Okay. If I got a land, obviously I'd go for a Troll, but here I get 2 Lizards and attack with the Mandrills, and then Spinning Darkness to pay for it, to deal damage to trade. It'll trigger the Lizards. I'm going to attack with the Wayfinder too. If they want to block that, I don't get to trade or anything, but I just get in for 4. So yeah, I expect this. And they could have a Dispel or a Spell Pierce, but you know, that's something we got to hope they don't have. Trigger the Lizards, deal 3, gain 3, and then trample for 2. Nice. I could cycle 1 troll to make sure I can cast the other one next turn. That's probably better. It's unfortunate that I have to waste one of them, but I think I'd rather just have one for sure next turn. Of course, you could Spinning Darkness the Terror after combat damage has been dealt, but then you don't get the trample damage, so probably better to just do it in that way if you can. They have another Terror. We get a Colony Garden. They could have a counterspell, but we're just going to run this out. It grows our Lizards, and if they don't have a counterspell, it's just pretty close to lethal next turn. Well, it's currently lethal, and they don't, in fact. Play the Colony Garden and get in case we want to, like, sack these plants for some reason with a Reckoner's Bargain or whatever. They have a Spell Stutter Sprite, okay. They need a bunch of blockers. Attack with a Spell Stutter, so I assume they have a Ninja. Draw a card. Brainstorm brings back Snacker. Cycle and Ash Barrens. So they have a Spell Stutter and something else in hand. 1 unknown, which is a cast down. Pretty good unknown. Spell Stutter they know about, or that I know about. Well, that was pretty good cards for them to get. I wish we just drew anything that was over 2 mana, because then we could trigger the Lizards. We could get a creature or something down. Duress does not do any good here. Attack with a Hacker. What? Is that a mistake? I could trade with this. Is there any way I get punished if I block with Lizards? They have Death Touch. I'm not going to respect a card that I don't know what's happening. I think like they could have -3/-3 or something. I think that was just a mistake. Okay, yeah, they pass. Spell Bomb. Spell Bomb cycles. So I could Duress. Maybe they Spell Stutter that, in which case I get Spell Bomb down, or maybe I just take a counter spell. I don't think that makes much sense, though. If they don't have anything to protect, they're not going to Spell Stutter, and if they do have something to protect, it might be a counterspell for the Spell Bomb. Plus, they don't have anything in their graveyard that matters right now. Obviously, just spells matter for the Terror, but I don't know. Yeah, I think they meant to attack with the Snacker last turn, and they just whiffed it. There's a Lizards. They do have 2 fairies. All right, now we're going to go for the Duress, see what they got there. They cast down in response, and that's their only spell, I would guess. Yep, Spell Stutter. and an Ice Tunnel. So I can play a Lizards, it gets countered, and then I Spell Bomb to draw a new card. That doesn't seem very good. I guess I'll pass. Attack with a Snacker. Reckoner's Bargain. Alright, now we're gonna try to draw something. Lizards isn't even the best thing ever, so I'm just gonna run that out. If they want to counter it, then I can get down one of these ideally. Spell Bomb, cycle that. Exhume after I've just blown up their graveyard. If they have no counter spell, which doesn't look like they do, I'm gonna use that. Unless it's like a Spell Pierce now. They do. They just didn't care about the Spell Bomb. Okay, well, that's annoying. But we still have a bargain for next turn, I suppose. Oh, they still have this Ice Tunnel in hand. So that's good to know about. I guess, well, they were keeping it for a Brainstorm, and they just found a Brainstorm, so now I don't know if they do. Deep Analysis, play an Island. Well, they didn't shuffle, and they drew their 2 cards back, so they do have the Ice Tunnel again. So 1 unknown. Spinning Darkness is decent. We're going to bargain away. A 1-power guy doesn't really matter, I don't think. It doesn't matter enough, so I think I'd rather gain 2 life here. Spell Bomb and Exhume. Well, I'm going to Spell Bomb, and then in case they have another Thought Scour trick, then I'm going to Exhume, try to get our Troll. Yeah, we don't even have a Generous Scent if I wanted to try that, so we're just going to do this. And then Spinning Darkness, their Spell Stutter, when they clearly don't have a counterspell. I also don't want them to Deep Analysis. So yeah, I think we're going to just do this in their upkeep. Spinning Darkness, their Spell Stutter, and then Spell Bomb so they can't Deep Analysis. If that was like a Snuff Out, obviously I'd be using it on Terror, but like there's nothing that I really think I need to save the Spinning Darkness for. Maybe a Spell Stutter on the stack. There's a Mystic, but in general, not. Now they have Thought Scour. Okay, so that means they have blockers for Troll. This is so annoying. And they find a Chainer's Edict, which is not the best thing ever because of plants, but they can cast it. Generous Scent's good. We can't cast both of these. If I attack, they're going to block, block, block. I guess I trade for Terror and Snacker. I almost don't want to attack because this trades here. I guess I just play this Generous Scent. I really want... I mean, Lizards could be a win con, so I maybe should play the Lizards first, but it just feels weird playing a 2-drop and not a 6-drop. And this does hold these back, so they can't get in, but obviously we're trying to attack them. They have a Lorien or a Chain. No, they're flashing the Chainers. Sure. That's fine. Sack a plant, and then a Snacker. All right. If we find a removal spot for the Terror, like that... Oh, actually, we need that on the Mystic, though, right? Well, we're going to play Lizards first, and I'm going to attack with the Troll, and... They block 3 of these. I could just shoot the Terror, and then my Troll lives. Or I trade with these. I kill the Mystic. I feel like I gotta kill the Mystic, right? Yeah. If they draw poorly, I don't die from the Mystic, but probably that's not what I want to bank on. So let's just kill it. And now Lizards ideally will keep growing, and they won't have infinite blockers. They pass. Now I can attack. They can double block the Lizards and then chump the Generous Scent. Oh, I should have snuffed out... Oh, they didn't even... Okay, fair enough. I was going to say I should have snuffed out the bird because they could have double blocked the Lizards and then I didn't have any... I could have outgrown it. I don't know. It's probably fine. We're going to gain 3 from the food. Bone Picker. We're just going to play that pre-combat. Yep. It means we can still cast the Snuff Out and life isn't that big of a deal. But this extra counter is actually very relevant because now they have to triple block if they want to, but then they died at the Generous Scent, so they can't do that. So they have to block and then chump 1 of the damage here. And these are all black creatures, so I can't snuff any of them out, so I'm not going to be able to win that way. And now we have 3 lethal attackers, one of which has trample. And we win the match. It takes forever. It was a good match, but that was crazy. I definitely thought we were going to lose it for a little while, but it also started really well, and I thought we should win it, and then kept flipping back and forth. Let's get another one going. Well, the deck worked pretty well. Obviously, we won, and it was just some really good back and forth. That was pretty cool. All right, this hand needs some help. I would love an Exhume or something for the Troll. We need like a Rumble or something for the Bone Picker, but we do just have more blue. I'm telling you, crazy blue out here. But we do have a turn 2 Wayfinder, which fills the graveyard decently for a Gurmag. More Thought Scour. So... like 2 weeks ago, people were like commenting on how many Terror decks there were out there. And I was just thinking like, I don't mind that too much because Terror I think is one of the more fun decks to play against. Mono blue or Dimir. Certainly I'd prefer it to a bunch of mono red or a bunch of High Tide or, Spy, which was, all that stuff. So I'm not complaining too much. However, there's a lot of Terror. Every single turn, every single game it feels like is against Terror at the moment. So, maybe it's getting to be a little much. They have 1-mana Terrors already. We do have a Dread Return in our graveyard, which is not bad. But yep, there's the Terror and Counterspell held up. Gurmag. Third Gurmag's not where you want to be. I could attack with a Wayfinder, and if they block, then I can Bone Picker, and then they can Counterspell it, and that's not very good. We're just going to pass here. I will say, 2 decks that are really good against Terror, that if you want to fight Terror, you should play. And I'm not just saying this because I'm biased, it just happens to be true. Black Sack, because you get a lot of jump blockers, you can go around them pretty easily, and also you get Curse Marauders in your main deck. And Esper CryoBlade, because you have Tithing Blades and a good amount of removal, and just generally can kill their guys and fly over them. You also have blockers for Delver. So, you know, those are a couple decks I'd suggest. I guess I'm just going to block. Maybe this is bad because we have a Dread Return in our graveyard, but it does just make it so that we can get Gurmags easier. They're just holding up Counterspell, though, so what am I even going to be able to cast here? Probably nothing. I guess we just play a Bone Picker for 4. There's the Exhume. They don't have a creature in their graveyard, so I guess I Exhume and they Counterspell that, and then I get to Gurmag. Although I do have to exile the Dread Return for the Gurmag, but that's probably fine. Dread Return's not doing too much. To be honest, Dread Return probably isn't good in this deck at all, but they just let it go. Well, we're going to get a Generous Ent. That means we can't Gurmag, but also probably don't want to at this point. I can just hold up a food token. I assume if they let it go, that means they have, like, a Demon Inferior, but, oh well. Ponder. They cast that. Brainstorm. Another Terror. Alright, they don't have a removal spell for the Generous Ent. Maybe they just weren't as scared of it as, like, removal or something? I don't know. But this blocks really nicely. It's got reach, and it's a 5/7. Cycle the Troll on the stack. So if you're saying in order to Exhume it, we could have done that, but a couple things. First, we have to hold priority in order to do that, because if we cast a spell, we have priority again, we could immediately cycle. But if we don't choose to do that, then I've already passed priority to them to say, do you want to do anything in here? And if they don't, I don't have the ability to then respond there. So I would have had to do it right away, and then they would know, oh, I'm trying to get back a Troll. But also, I didn't want to get back a Troll. I wanted a Generous Ent here because 1/6/5 versus their board looks pretty bad. Like, if we're not on the offensive, this just trades with 1 Terror. They get in with this 3/2 every turn, and we didn't know about this Terror, obviously, but another Terror is bad. Whereas the Generous Ents are actually what we want here because it blocks everything. So not only did I not really want to do that, but also I would have had to make the move first. I couldn't, after they say I don't want to counterspell this, I couldn't then respond with the Troll. So now it's just really awkward because we can't, I could Gurmag Angler for 3 or 5, but I can only cast 1 of any of these. Just a Ghost subscribed with Prime. Hello. Love watching your videos, was watching the latest CryoBlade, and you said to throw subs your way for a founder badge, so here we go. Keep up the great work. You should have it. I believe you're the 7th or 8th subscriber, so you should have a founder badge, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And also, nothing's dying, so the Bone Picker's not going to be cheap, unless I attack with the Generous Ent, but that seems bad. I guess I just throw out a Gurmag for 5 mana, use as little of our graveyard as possible, and yeah, they counterspell it. It's not the end of the world, maybe? I don't know. They lure in. Okay. I mean, I guess if they Island Demon Inferior, that's really bad, but otherwise, it's not the end of the world. They're getting their value, but they're tapped out. Something good. Lizards is something okay. So I can play a Lizards. I can't... Oh, wait, yeah. I can Lizards. I can cycle a Generous Ent or a Troll, and then I can Gurmag, I think. Okay, that's not terrible. And yeah, I think Generous Ent is the one we want. Pretty badge just to make me feel special. You are very special. I appreciate it. What's today's deck? We have played a little bit of everything today, but what we are currently playing is a there is a deck command, but unfortunately I did not update it for this deck because we just brewed this on stream. So but we are playing this Golgari Lurking Lizards deck. So Lurking Lizards is a new card from Spider-Man / Through the Omen Paths, so that's what we built it around. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and so we were doing that with Hooting Mandrills, Gurmag, Troll, Generous Ent, Bone Picker, Snuff Out, Spinning Darkness. And so then to accommodate the Delve creatures, we have a bunch of graveyard filling stuff. So that is what we're doing. Deep analysis. And we're 1-0 so far, so it's not terrible. We had a pretty grindy matchup against Demir that ended in our favor. An attempt at Stompy looks interesting. You're saying like putting Lurking Lizards into a Stompy list, or you're saying like this? Looks interesting. They got a lot of cards in hand, and they have Counterspell mana up, but we're not dying, which is nice. Ooh, we get a Rumble. That's good to refill the graveyard for Gurmag. This list feels a bit like a Stompy list getting big super fast. Yeah, I totally agree. This is kind of like that. And yeah, Lizards looks cool, so I've been trying to brew some decks around it. We also did like a Sultai Affinity list earlier with it. I think I probably want to start attacking a little bit, like with one Gurmag here, and then if something dies, we can get like a Bone Picker down. I'm probably going to Rumble. Yeah, so they trade. So now I can Rumble, get a Bone Picker. That's great, because I can double Bone Picker, and I can Gurmag. Okay, things are going well, I think. So now we Bone Picker, which triggers the Lizards. They counterspell the Bone Picker. Then I Bone Picker, trigger the Lizards, and then I Gurmag Angler, which is once again going to trigger the Lizards. These Lizards get so triggered. Boom, look at this. So now we have a 5/7, 3/2 Flying Death Touch, a 5/5, a 5/7 Reach. Seems okay. So even if they do have like a Demon Inferior or something for the Lizards, we just have a bunch of other guys. They have a couple Delvers, that's not scary, and a Deep Analysis. Mental Note, and they do find a Sleep of the Dead, but they can't use it this turn. And then we just get to go wild, attacking with everything. Oh, they have a... That Serpent is annoying. Snuff Out would be great. No. I was just going to attack with all 4 of these and race them, but now that's a little annoying because they could trade with the Ent. They could trade with the Lizards. I guess it doesn't change too much. I could cast a Generous Ent first to make the Lizards slightly bigger, but it's not going to change if they want to trade one of these for this, and it would be one difference of damage, but then I'm showing them I have nothing else, whereas if I hold it up, maybe I have a Snuff Out or something. So I think we're just going to attack with everything still. And if they want to trade any of these off, that's fine. Otherwise, we're hitting for 18 damage, so they can't take it all. But they could just like trade an Aberration for this and take 15. Okay, they go for the double block on the Generous Ent. That's fine. We're going to kill the Serpent. It just deals more damage. So we're going to do that. They go to 10. So we did miss out on a damage by doing it this way from the Lizards, but I think that's okay. And we get another Ent anyway. So I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Although Delver slipping could be rough, but Generous Ent still blocks them. Dispel. Okay. Another Lorien. Yep. A lot of cards in hand. Demon Inferior, the Generous Ent. I don't actually hate that. I'll put it second from the top, I think. I thought they should be more worried about this Lizards. Maybe they have another one or something, but I'll take 6 here. But this is about to be lethal. They gotta have something. Unless they just... This is a card they haven't seen before, so they miscalculated. But I'm gonna cast this Generous Ent, which is gonna trigger this, make it a 7/9 with Trample. And so then if all they have is Terror, yeah, they got a Counterspell. That's not gonna keep them alive. I attack with these two, and whether they block here or here, they take 7 damage. They should have gotten rid of the Lizards. Lizards are gonna get you. Oop, that's a spawn. All right, take match 1 against Terror. So we get Spell Bombs and Duress. Spinning Darkness kills Delver, but that's it. So that might not be one we care too much about. Oops. Generous Ent seems decent. Troll is really good if we are ahead, but it's less good if we're behind. I guess Mandrels just, all of these at least trade or block a Terror, and Mandrels do not, so we probably just take those out. I think that's pretty good. We got a 1-lander, that's not going to cut it. With no cyclers. This is a lot of lands, but we do have rumbles to find stuff, so we're going to keep it and put back a swamp. Gurmag is good follow-up. There's a Delver. They didn't play that before, and they've been leaving up 1 mana these 2 turns, so it feels like they might have a Spell Pierce for this, but we're going to go for it anyway. Envelop. Okay, same type of thing. I guess for the Exhume, potentially. Brainstorm, so they're going to flip a Delver off a Brainstorm, and then Thought Scour it away. Nice. And another Delver. Okay. So I can Rumble, and then I can also Bone Picker here if we want. So let's see what we are working with. Ooh, I can only do 1 Bone Picker this turn because I can sack the spawn to play a Bone Picker, but I only have 1 black mana, so maybe I just take the Spell Bomb, sack the spawn, play the Spell Bomb. Then they have 4 cards in grave. That could be a Terror coming down. But if they want to spend their turn doing that, yeah, I think we'll take this. I could take the Bone Picker and just wait till next turn and then play the Bone Pickers, but they could counter them. I want to have it as a blocker here, so I think we'll just do this. Flip the Delver off a Mental Note. Mental Note, Envelop in a Cryptic Serpent. And they play a Terror. So if they have another Terror, I probably want to blow up their graveyard now. But if they don't, I kind of want to draw a card off the Spell Bomb. I guess we're going to take that chance. Pretty risky, but here we are. And I will trade. This has Death Touch, so I could also trade with a Terror. But by trading here, a Gurmag ideally will trade with a Terror, so that's the goal anyway. Another Rumble. We're going to Spell Bomb them now. See what we draw. We get a Lizards. That's nice. So I can get the Lizards going before I play the Gurmag. And we're going to leave, I guess, a Bone Picker in here. Trigger the Lizards, and we have a 5/5. They cycle a Lorien, play an island, just swing with the flyer, and... They have Counterspell mana. By the way, have you played the Pestilence Food list? Feels like a good list for your style. I played it 1 league. It wasn't in a video. I was prepping to try to record a video for it, and then I haven't gotten around to it. So I do plan to do some sort of food pestilence list at some point. Because I agree, it's a little it's a little more controlling late game grindy than I prefer, as much as I do like that style of deck. But it is still up my alley for sure. All right, well, we're going to play a Rumble, I guess. Gurmag, Bone Picker. I guess we take a Bone Picker because I can play that this turn if I also cash in this for a Wavefinder. Let's do that. Looking forward to that. It's a list that I want to try myself. Yeah, I certainly don't have a time frame, but probably in the next couple of weeks I'd like to play that at some point. I guess we just take a Colony Garden because we're going to play a tap land this turn anyway. We don't need the mana. Let's play a Bone Picker, trigger the Lizards, reach and flying, and we'll attack with the Angler. We have chump blockers for the Terror, so I'm happy to get in for 5 or trade here. Yeah, I think the main list that I've seen going around online was like kind of Golgari Pestilence food, but my buddy at the game store I play at has an Abzan food list with Pestilence that absolutely crushed me the other day. And so I might try that list, to be honest. Sleep of the Dead on our Bone Picker. Okay. That could be scary. Sleep of the Dead with the Aberrations. They can only use it one more time currently. If they flip this, I'm not dead next turn. And I guess we'll cycle one Generous Scent so I can play the other next turn for sure. To have a blocker potentially. But not being able to play it right now is kind of annoying. We're going to attack with these two. Yes, the one I saw was from Kerblinski's video. Yeah, I think that was the list that I saw too. Which looks sweet. But yeah, the Abzan one, big thing that you get for Abzan is Carrot Cake, which is another food that scries, so it helps set up that, but it also lets you, it makes a 1/1 when it enters or when you sack it, and so it gives you more things to do with, it makes more guys, so more creatures to sacrifice and to keep your Pestilence alive and stuff, so yeah, I think it's pretty cool. We're maybe dying here. I can play a Generous Ent, but they can just tap either the Ent or the Bone Picker with the Sleep of the Dead, and then we die, because I can't crack the food, and we only have one blocker, so I guess I have to Satyr Wayfinder, and maybe I get something that saves us. I don't really know what that would be, especially since this can only find lands. Nope, we're gonna die. Another cheap utility artifact is interesting, yep. And also access to Dust to Dust, best hate in the format. Yeah, certainly the sideboard gets a little bit better the more colors you add, and yes, Dust to Dust is great there. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else is in his main deck that's white. I know Late to Dinner was in there for a little while, but I believe he took that out, so I'm not 100% sure. Well, this says double Exhume, but nothing to Exhume. I can't play a Wayfinder, and I can't play a Bargain, but it's only missing like a card, and we'll be in a good spot. A card being like a Forest, any of our green sources to get a Wayfinder going, or a Cycler. So we have 8 Cyclers, we have 7 green sources, so those are our hits. 15 hits. I guess that's not as many as you'd like, because otherwise, without green, we don't have enough of anything else. We brought in Spell Bombs, that just cycles. I guess we have to mulligan this. This hand is better. Put back a Generous Scent and a Gurmag, I guess. Yeah, I always like trying new decks, and Pestilence is definitely a cool card that I've been wanting to play on the channel for a while, so we'll get around to it. Probably not one I'm going to want to stream, just because it's very grindy and slow, and I fear going to time, and I know that I play a lot slower when I'm talking to chat and stuff, so probably one I'm too scared to do that with. Another Lizards is good. It feels like it's going to eat a counterspell here, but it feels like it's not going to do much if I just hold it, so I don't know. We'll play it out. We will duress them. I guess we're too many lands away from this Generous Scent. We'll probably just cycle it. I guess we'll hold duress for another turn when we might actually be able to punch something else through. Like if we get a Malevolent Rumble is probably one of our best draws off the top, because it can both find us a win con like a Gurmag, and it can fill our graveyard for that Gurmag. So if we find like that, maybe we'll duress first. Thought Scour, they've got plenty of creatures in their grave now. Tolarian Terror. I guess I duress them on their turn and then I snuff out. That's also a reasonable way to use it. Another duress is not really what I need, but I guess it's fine. Envelop. Okay, well, I guess we're going to go again, since they still have mana up. Spell Pierce and a Counterspell. So 2 Terrors coming down next turn. I might as well take the Spell Pierce, because it's the only one they can use, and then I can snuff this out, pay the mana, grow my Lizards, but unfortunately, next turn they get 2 Terrors and a Counterspell to hold up. So I think we're not going to be able to overcome that with no cards in hand. I mean, I guess Gurmag's not bad, and also just in general, cards that grow the lizards could keep us alive, but this is certainly just eating a counterspell, and lizards is only a 3/5, but if we can grow it again next turn, even if it gets countered, we can at least block, I guess. There's a ponder. We're gonna chump. I guess we'll just chump both of them. I don't really think there's a reason to keep these around. Another serpent. Bone Picker's a pretty good draw. That grows this big enough, and also it can trade with the serpent. That might be our best draw, actually. Well, no, Rumble still would have been better because we could play Rumble and Bone Picker, but it was not a bad one at all. Cycle Alorian for an island. They still attack. How rude. I'll bounce one here and trade. Exhume. I mean, it gets us a Generosent, which blocks better and gains us life. They do get a serpent out of it, but I guess it's not the worst thing ever for us. I mean, it's very bad into like a Sleep of the Dead. We're already pretty much losing to a Sleep of the Dead, but it actually kills us this turn as opposed to only almost killing us. They get back a Terror as opposed to a serpent. I guess the extra damage doesn't really matter. It kind of does because we're at 11, but I guess they just prefer ward. Fair enough. They draw a Lorien Revealed. That's pretty good. Come on, good cards. That's not bad. I guess we're going to leave Bone Picker in the yard here. And we have 2 5/7s and a 5/5. I don't really feel like I can attack because they just trade just 1 for 1. Although I think not attacking favors them too because they have Sleep of the Dead and Demon Inferior and all these cards they can find. And they just have a million more cards than we do. Second from the top, I guess not since we can't actually afford to play the Generosent. And they have a Sleep of the Dead. Do they have another sleep? That'd be outrageous. They do. Okay. Well, I guess we die. 15 damage at us. We were doing okay against Terror for a little while, but then it got pretty hairy there at the end. What with us dying and all, you know. I guess we'll keep this one. It's a little slow because we have tap land into Generosent, which is a tap land at least. Expedition map. Swamp helps a lot. So we're against Tron, and with the map, it looks like they might have the turn 3, potentially. No, they have an island, although island means it's probably Flickertron, which means they're probably going to have a better time interacting with us. But we might be okay here. I mean, we have double Lurking Lizards into ideally some other stuff. So maybe we can go aggressive enough. They get a Mine, Cryogen, and another map. So there's Tron next turn with 5 mana, Mandrills. Cycle a Generosent for a forest. And yeah, I think we just Lizards so that we can be attacking for ideally as much as possible. And the next turn I can go Rumble into like Mandrills or Gurmag. If they play a creature, I can snuff out, which grows these two. They just get the Tron naturally, semi-naturally. They play a Refractor, and they just leave up 6 mana. I'm gonna Rumble. Forest, Bone Picker, Troll. So if I take Troll, I can cycle it for black, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in our grave, so I could play a Gurmag Angler. And then we have Dread Return next turn. I think that's probably best. Cycle this, and I guess I want to hold this spawn probably, so we'll just mill everything, or sack everything. I guess that means I don't have anything to Dread Return. So I guess I'd rather just sack the spawn and hold the Troll. So we'll do that. We're doing this pre-combat. That means they could have something, but this grows these and ideally deals more damage. Deals 4, and then we'll pass. Mystical Teachings, yeah. They find a Ghostly Flicker. Sack their map for another terror, another tower. We've had so many terrors that I just didn't know. Ghostly Flicker, they have a Cryogen, so that Ghostly Flicker can flicker both of these to draw 4, which is pretty good. Bargain. Well, I can Dread Return the Troll. We're hitting for 11. I'm still holding up Snuff Out, so that's the only interaction we really have. If they have a Fog or whatever, I can't do anything about that. They could pull some Marasa this back to our hand, or they could just have like an Unwind or whatever. Ghostly Flicker in response. Sure. They draw 4. We will attack for 11. There's something to be said about I could have snuffed out our own plant last turn. Then we would be getting in for, we would have gotten in for 2 more, and then this turn we could get in for 2 more, which would be lethal. But in addition to the fact that this does not work against a Moment's Peace, I also just think having a Snuff Out versus a Mnemonic Wall or whatever is probably better. But technically that's a line I had to present lethal a turn earlier. There's the wall. Gonna get the Ghostly Flicker. No, just the Moment's Peace. Okay, fair enough. Prophetic Prism. Discard an island. We're just gonna attack since we know the Moment's Peace is gonna happen. And let's bargain a plant. Exhume. We don't have anything in our graveyard. Currently, they don't either. Another Snuff Out's decent. We will just Rumble. Bone Pickers or Satyr Wayfinder. I think we don't need more creatures on the field like Bone Picker, so I think we just take a Wayfinder to dig more, to find other stuff or make like Mandrills and stuff better. But really, it just comes down to can they continue to Moment's Peace us forever. Crop Rotation on the end step for even more mana. Oh, they Bajuka Bog us. Well, not the end of the world, but fair enough. We did have a Dread Return and stuff in there, but like we didn't really have anything to bring back. It makes it so we can't mandrels as easily, but it's okay. They have another wall. I guess they're going to go for the flicker and try to flicker both of these. And then with that and Moment's Peace, that's kind of a loop. Well, it is a loop, but we have snuff outs to interact, so ideally we won't just be dead. Swing, they flicker. I'm gonna cast or snuff out one of them. Snuff one of them out. And then should I snuff the other one out? Probably. If they have an ephemerate, it's kind of bad. This either just gets the ghostly flicker back or it gets the Moment's Peace, which is just one extra turn. Whereas if I do it and they go have like an ephemerate, it's like really good against us. Yeah, I don't know. I think we just let that one go. Exhume is basically now a dead card because it gets them back a wall, which we're not willing to do. Deal them 0 damage. Play a Satyr Wayfinder. We don't get any land. I guess on the off chance that they ever don't have a fog, I should just keep playing guys so that we can actually deal lethal. The worst thing to do is to be like, oh, I'm just attacking, and then they've gained some life, or our guys aren't as big as we think, and then like they don't actually have to fog, and they don't die. Crack a Cryogen to stun this. For example, stunning Troll is a way to prevent damage, but we still have 20 damage on board. 15 through a blocker, so that's good. Flashback Mystical Teachings. Get a ghostly flicker. I'm once again going to try to snuff this out, and if they have a way to stop this, we probably just concede. But if not, okay, they do get to draw their 2 cards here. They probably have a Mysidian Elder, sure. And at the minimum, they just have a Moment's Peace in the grave. Spinning Darkness can take out the Elder, which is relevant because their goal is to flicker it a bunch. Let's just attack. They cast a Moment's Peace. And I guess I actually don't have Spinning Darkness for its alternative cost, but we can just hard cast it with the spawn. I don't think it's necessarily even going to matter if they just have like one more Moment's Peace in hand. They probably can just hold us off long enough to win. There's a Mystic. It's pretty good. They have another Ghostly Flicker. It is for the Elder and the Cryogen. We're going to shoot the Elder. See if that keeps us alive. Puts us to 14. They draw a bunch more cards, though. They pull some Marasa back a wall. They can play a wall. Alright, they got me. Well, let's bring in some Duresses. I guess we can do Duress, Graveyard Hate, and Artifact Hate. It's a lot of cards to bring in, but Spinning Darkness doesn't seem very good, and Snuff Outs seem okay, but not great. I mean, they were decent there, but like it didn't actually hold them off. I don't really like want to spin our wheels and like draw stuff though. Feels like we just kind of want to go fast. So maybe for that reason I don't care about spell bombs as much and I just keep snuff outs. I don't know. I think if we've gotten to the point where they're like looping stuff from their graveyard, we're probably already losing. That has no creatures at all. That cannot work. This has no lands at all. I guess this one is a turn 3 Exhumed Troll. That could be reasonable. So I guess we'll keep. Put back two Gurmags, maybe? Definitely at least one. And I guess Mandrills is easier to get to, because currently we're not filling our graveyard with, like, anything. Play a Garden and pass. Another Mandrills. So cycle a Troll. Nothing to play for 1 mana, so we'll just get a Haunted Mire and pass. Prophetic Prism. Lurking Lizards. Well, maybe that's going to be okay, but we're going to just exhume this Troll. Legacy Band Troll of Khazad-dûm. They Impulse and play a map. I'm going to swing for 6. I could just like Lizards or something, but I'm going to hope that if I Rumble, I can find a way to play like a Mandrills or a Bone Picker this turn. Alright, so we can get a Swamp, and then I can play the Bone Picker by sacrificing the spawn, playing the Bone Picker for 1. And then next turn we can play Lizards and a Mandrills. If we haven't died by then, maybe we'll be okay. They get a Tower, and play a Relic, and a Prism. I mean, we get to attack for 9, but if they just have fogs from here on out, then we're not going to be able to stop them. Here's a Mandrills. Trigger the Lizards. Play Garden and pass. Refractor. Crack the Relic on the Troll. Still have enough damage with these guys. So they play a Refractor. Another Relic. And we win. Alright, so they were not able to draw out of it that time. It was definitely a faster start with the Exhumed Troll. Let's go again. This is 1 cycler away from being really good with the turn 2 Exhume plus mana, but we can't bank on drawing that. Now we have it. We don't have the Exhume, but this hand is still pretty reasonable. So we're going to keep and get rid of, I guess, one of these Rumbles? I think I'd rather just get rid of the Snuff Out, honestly. Well, we get the Snuff Out right back. We're going to pass here. It's so funny how few lands most Pauper decks can run with the lot of land cycles. Those cyclers. Yeah, it certainly is crazy. I talked previously on a stream about how Pauper decks are a lot greedier in their mana bases than I think most other decks are. But most other formats are. Like, a lot of decks run, 18 or 19 lands, and maybe, Lorien Revealed or whatever, but just in general, like, very few. Pretty crazy. I could duress here. They didn't have any 2-drop, or rather they probably have an impulse they want to play. So duress isn't bad, but then we waste our mana. I think we just rumble, and then hopefully we can like duress Gurmag, Bone Picker next turn, something like that. Bone Picker, but I only have 1 black, so I don't really want to pick that up. Forest doesn't do us much good. I think I just take the Vandal. Then next turn, I could like Vandal if they have an artifact, and then Bone Picker. I think we'll do that. Makes land destruction a reasonable strategy. Honestly, yeah. If we just played like 22, 23 lands like most standard and like other decks. I don't know about every format ever, but like when I was playing standard, certainly several years ago, maybe it's changed. But it was like 40% of your deck should be lands, which is 24 cards in a 60 card deck. But then of course if you were more aggressive you went down to 22, and if you were more control you go up to 26 or whatever. But yes, Ponza is definitely a lot more viable because we play a lot fewer. So they have the map, but they don't actually have Tron next turn. I'm not going to obviously Vandal a map that they can just sacrifice. I could Lizards here. I think we Rumble, try to find a swamp so that I can like Bone Picker Gurmag. Or I guess if I get a Forest, well, we don't get either. I could Lizards Bone Picker, but we get a Generous Ent, which I could cycle for a Forest, but then I can't play anything. No, I could, because I have a spawn. I could just play a Lizards. That's not very good. Mandrills I can't play. Oh gosh, this was not good hits. I think we take the Generous Amp. This is not what I wanted. We're going a lot slower than I want. So I guess I can cycle with the spawn, get a Forest. I want to play a Gurmag this turn. I want to hit my land drop, although this means I've used up my guys who can use Bone Picker. I think I'm getting Mire, not playing Bone Picker because it's just not as much damage, and I'm going to go for a Gurmag here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where is Stasis, though? Stasis is supposed to be in Pauper? That'd be crazy. That's a treat, maybe? They crack their map for a mine. Play that. Another map, alright. So, Tron next turn. Vandals can't do anything about it. I can duress them to try to stop something from coming down, which I guess we don't have much else to do. Lizards and duress is I guess all we're doing. Alright. Ghostly Flicker, Cryogen Relic, Lorien revealed. Okay. So I'm not going to take a Flicker. If I like, they're probably going to crack this and just play a Lorien revealed, but I guess we take a Relic so that the Ghostly Flickers are worse. They still need to find 2 targets for it then. And then we play a Lizards. I don't think Stasis can be good without Daze and Gush, which are as hell is funny and pre-modern. Yeah, that's fair. I'm sure there are a lot of crazy cards like that wouldn't really be busted in Pauper because there just isn't the support for them, but still crazy cards nonetheless. So yeah, they're just going to Lorien for 3 cards here. It might have been better just to take the Lorien because that was 3 cards, but if they played Cryogen and then just Ghostly Flickered it, that was also 3 cards. It would just be for 2. They would spend 2 to get 3, so I don't crack their map right away for a Bajuka Bog. Well, if I have a way to use my graveyard this turn, I will do so. Yeah, not using our Bone Picker earlier is kind of biting us, but the Gurmag would just not be... We would have dealt them 4 less damage. They'd be at 13, but I could have played a Gurmag last turn. Probably would have been better, to be honest. I'm going to... So I can play a Colony Garden. I'm going to play a Masked Vandal just for the damage. We have 7 damage on board. If I play a Bone Picker and a Snuff Out, even if I have to cast my own plant token, snuff it out, that would be 9 damage. So we have an avenue to winning next turn, although they have a Mysidian Elder, and they have double Ghostly Flicker, so even if I try to kill it, they can do the other one, but, well, we're just going to Bone Picker here. I could wait until combat, but I think I'd rather just the extra counter. Swing, they block the Gurmag, which makes sense, since they're going to flicker it. They are flickering just a land in it. They're not getting any additional value, so, like, this makes me kind of like a little bit better that we took the Cryogen Relic, but we're going to Snuff Out because we get an extra damage from the Lurking Lizards. I know they're just going to play another Ghostly Flicker to keep it alive, or an Unwind, fair enough. They still have a Ghostly Flicker. I mean, it's possible they could just kill us with enough Wizard tokens here. They Unwind, they untap a bunch. We know they have a Ghostly Flicker and a Bajuka Bog, so I guess they only have 1 other card. Oh, but they are flickering the Grotto to Scry, fair enough. Put on the bottom. They have 2 guys. It's only 7 spells to kill us. Plus a Ghostly Flicker makes it even fewer. Impulse, so we go to 12. Well, we'll see if we die. There's a Prism, draws another card. Now Ghostly Flicker puts us to 8 and draws another card. They bog us. Okay, they're just going to pass. I mean, like another Snuff Out would be good. I'm not going to alternative cost it, but just like killing this guy in response to a Flicker would be nice, I think. Plus it would trigger this. Generous Ent. I can't cast a Generous Ent to trigger this. I could Masked Vandal the Prism, but then they can just flicker it, so I think we just attack with the team and probably die. I mean, they do have to block this and this. I guess they have to block here with this guy, which tramples, and they have to not let it go through. Like, if all they have is Ghostly Flicker and, like, lands or whatever, they have to chump the Gurmag with a Wizard. They have to actually chump this and not flicker, and then they stake 4. That's pretty good. That's if they have nothing, though. They could certainly have something, but they are thinking over their options. And they chump here with the flicker, block here. They're taking 6, so they must have a life gain spell and a block here. That would be 5. Okay, they have to have life gain or a removal spell or something then. Flicker the Elder and the Prism, sure. Or I guess they could just, like, kill us in response if they have that, but float a green in response, sure. I guess they do this and then they just have like a Moment's Peace, maybe. So the damage doesn't even matter. Crop Rotation, sure. So they have more mana, and again, put us to 5. They have 3 wizards, so they only have to cast 2 spells here if they can do that. Although, and we win the game. Look at that. I did not think that was going to happen. I definitely thought they were going to kill us in response or have a Moment's Peace or something, but we won the match. So we're 2-1. I will say, it's I've been streaming longer than I've streamed before, almost 6 hours. I think it's going to be the end for me. We started off finishing a league from yesterday. We were 2-1. So now we basically played 2 full leagues, but now we're ending on a cliffhanger again. But it's getting pretty late for me. So this is the deck we were playing. It's honestly not working too terribly. I do plan to stream tomorrow, hopefully. Don't hold me to that. But ideally tomorrow afternoon, same time, 1 p.m.-ish. Eastern Standard Time. That's the goal anyway. We might finish up this league, but I probably want to just play some more Esper CryoBlade, or maybe we'll brew one of those other decks we were talking about. I don't know. We'll do something. But yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out. Thank you so much for watching.